the world has finally gone still. The voices, the notifications, the endless movement of the day, all of it has faded into silence. You're here now, in a softer place, where nothing demands your attention and no one expects anything of you. The rush has stopped. The quiet has come. Let it in. Feel it settle around you like a blanket of peace. The air feels lighter. The noise inside your head begins to fade. For the first time in what feels like a long time, you can simply breathe. You don't have to be anywhere else. You don't have to do anything. This is the sacred pause, the holy stillness where God's whisper becomes clear. Be still and know that He is God. Those words are more than a command. They are an invitation to rest from striving, to stop trying to control every moment, to simply let God be God. In the quiet, His presence becomes unmistakable. You can sense it soft, steady, like the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Every breath you take is grace. Every exhale is release. As you rest, you might think of all the moments today when noise filled your mind, the pressure to perform, the thoughts that wouldn't stop circling, the expectations you tried to meet. None of that belongs here. Let it drift away. You are safe in this silence. You are safe with Him. Imagine yourself standing in a field at twilight. The sun has just dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. The wind moves gently through the tall grass, and everything is still except the sound of your breath and the faint song of a distant bird. It's quiet, but it's not empty. The air is alive with peace. You can feel the presence of God in the stillness, like a calm strength wrapping around you. He's not far away. He's not waiting for you to be perfect or eloquent. He's here right now. In the quiet, you can whisper, "I'm here, Lord." You don't have to say more than that. God understands every unspoken word in your heart. He knows the exhaustion behind your smile. He knows the weight behind your silence. And in this moment, He's not asking for anything. He's just offering Himself His calm, His comfort, His love. So let yourself receive it. Rest in it. This is what your soul has been longing for. Not more noise, not more doing, but simple, sacred stillness. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel your breathing slow. The quiet is not something to fear. It's a gift. It's the doorway to peace. In the silence, you remember what's true. You are loved. You are chosen. You are not forgotten. Even when life feels loud and uncertain, God's voice still speaks softly beneath it, all steady and sure. You may not always hear Him in the chaos, but in the quiet, His presence becomes clear again. Let that truth sink deep into your heart. You are never alone in the stillness. God meets you there. He restores what's been worn thin. He renews what's been drained. He gives rest to your soul. So stay here a while. Don't rush this moment. Let your thoughts slow down until they're just a whisper. Let your body grow heavy with peace. Let your spirit rest in the warmth of His presence. You don't need to fix, prove, or plan. You only need to be. Just be. And in this quiet, let gratitude rise like a gentle tide. Thank you, Lord, for this silence. Thank you for meeting me here. Thank you for reminding me that I don't have to do life alone. Feel that thankfulness settle deep within you. Feel it spread through your chest like light. The world will still be there when you wake. But for now, this is your time to rest in the stillness of His love. This quiet is holy. This quiet is healing. This quiet is home. And if this peaceful space has touched your spirit tonight, take a moment to share it. Subscribe. Leave a kind word. Or invite someone else who might need a quiet place to rest in God's presence. Together, we can make this a sanctuary for the weary, a place where every heart finds calm again. May the peace of Christ fill you as the night deepens, and may your sleep be sweet in His care. I invite you to come close. I speak with a quiet voice. I speak with a steady heart. The room is calm. A lamp sheds a warm pool of light. The Bible rests nearby. My hand hovers over its cover like a promise. Tonight we move slowly. We let the day settle. Settle your body. Feel the weight of limbs on the bed or chair. Allow shoulders to loosen. Breathe in. Breathe out. Each breath is a small gift. Each breath brings you back to the room. I ask you to soften your face. Let the jaw unclench. Let the eyes rest behind their lids. I sit across from you in this gentle time. I speak as one who keeps watch. I speak as one who wants you to rest. Open your heart, not to worry, not to judgment. Open it like a window left ajar. Let the cool of evening come in. Let the light of mercy slip through. Do not force the opening. Allow it to happen slowly. If the heart tightens, do not push. Breathe toward the tightness. Breathe toward the place that aches. The breath carries calm. The breath carries a soft invitation. I read from the Bible tonight. I read in a low tone. Each word falls slowly. Each sentence receives room to breathe. This is not a lesson. This is not a debate. This is a quiet sharing of promises. I bring passages that rest the mind. I bring passages that remind the weary of love. The words are simple. The words are steady. They do not demand an answer. They offer a place to lay down burden. Imagine a lake at dusk. The surface is still. Little ripples fade into the dark. You stand at its edge. You release a small stone. The stone sinks. The water closes over it without fuss. It does not argue. It simply receives. Let your worries be that stone. Watch them go under the surface. Let the water take them. The lake does not judge what you drop. It only holds what you give. This night can be like that lake. Imagine a lamp in an otherwise quiet room. The lamp is simple and true. It keeps a steady glow. Its light does not flash. It does not demand attention. It simply continues. In the same way, grace keeps its steady glow. It is not loud. It is not frantic. It is present. Allow that presence to touch the edges of thought. Allow it to make a way into the small corners where fear likes to hide. If a memory rises that is sharp, notice it without wrestling. Name it gently in your mind. Let it pass like a cloud across a pale moon. You do not need to fix it tonight. You only need to be present with it. Presence is enough. Presence is a balm. Let the idea of being accompanied rest with you. You are not alone with the ache. The ache sits in a room where light remains. We move at a slow pace. My voice mirrors that pace. Each sentence arrives without hurry. Each phrase receives a space to land. If the eyes close, allow them. If sleep leans in, welcome it. I will speak so as to guide, not to chase. My words soften the edges. They do not press for answers. They do not weigh with complicated thoughts. Tonight is gentle. Think of a familiar road after rain. The air smells clean. The earth seems quieted. Footsteps feel lighter. The road asks nothing of you but to follow. Your steps are unhurried. You notice the sound of shoes on wet pavement. You notice the small relief in every stride. This is the kind of journey we take now. The route is simple. The company is gentle. The destination is rest. I do not require you to perform. There is no checklist here. There is no measure of success. You only need to come as you are. Sorrow, doubt, fatigue bring them. Joy, thankfulness, lightness bring them too. All are welcome. The Bible speaks to the full range of the human heart. It meets us in our smallness and also in our quiet strength. It meets us where night feels long. If worry creeps back, name its rhythm. Notice the thoughts that press forward. Picture them as leaves on a slow stream. Watch them float. They move along the current. They do not stay. You need not hold them. Watch them go. This practice is not cleverness. It is a simple turning away from noise and toward rest. Mercy waits like a soft blanket. It is warm without being heavy. It covers without smothering. Mercy is not a solution to be solved. It is a presence that holds. In the small hush before sleep, mercy seems vast. It seems able to span the space between our frailty and a calm heart. Let that span hold you for a time. Hope rests on a small, steady rock. It does not glitter like a treasure. It stands firm, like a root in good soil. Hope does not ask for certainty. It asks for trust in the gentleness of the night and in the goodness that quietly keeps going. Here, hope does not shout. It whispers. Its whisper is enough to guide a weary mind. You may notice the body tightening when a thought becomes too big. Return to the breath. Breathe in for a count that feels natural. Breathe out longer. If possible, let the exhale carry a small release. On each exhale, imagine a burden sliding away. You do this not once, but slowly. Again and again. The repetition is a kind mercy. It teaches the body what the mind already wants to learn. I read aloud the Bible with a hand that moves slowly through pages. My fingers do not hurry. I do not skip. The text unfolds with room between lines. The voice that carries it is calm. It is not a performance. It is a care. Sometimes images rise from the passages. A shepherd tending sheep. a lamp by a bedside, a voice that calls in the night. These images are simple. They are meant to settle, not to stir debate. They bring a soft consolation. We do not chase answers about why hard things happen. Tonight we rest in assurance that mercy exists. We rest in the knowledge that care reaches the small places of a heart. There is a tenderness that notices the smallest trembling. There is a patience that waits without pressing. Let that tenderness be enough for this hour. If sleep comes before a passage ends, that is welcome. Sleep is not rude. It is a gentle taking of rest. Allow it. The reading continues in soft rhythm until you rest. The pages yield their words like a woven cloth, smooth and warm when you wake. The memory of a phrase may still sit like a soft stone in the palm. That is fine. It is part of the keeping. I invite you to place a hand on your chest. If it helps, feel the rise and fall. Feel the quiet steady there. Feel the small heat of life that persists. Let that heat remind you that you are held. Let it remind you that even now, when the world seems large and loud, there is a presence that listens. The Bible speaks to that presence. It speaks of kindness and steadiness and the care that does not abandon the small. There is no hurry to move through these moments. There is time. Time stretches like a slow ribbon. Take small sips of silence. Let the quiet seal the edges of thought. The night is not empty. It carries the soft music of assurance. When you are ready, close your eyes without strain. Let the lids fall like a curtain. Trust the darkness to be a gentle cloak. I stand with the Bible in hand. The lamp keeps its circular glow. The room breathes with us. I begin to read now. The words come slowly. Each one offers a small harbor. Each one carries this promise. You are not alone. The reading becomes an act of quiet care. Let it lead you toward rest. I turn the page with a slow thumb. The paper makes a soft sound. The lamp throws a steady pool of light. My breath keeps time with the quiet. I let the eyes rest on the words without rushing. Tonight I hold one small command from the Psalms. It asks for stillness. It asks that we know presence in the silence. I do not say it as a test. I hold it like a key. Be still. Let those words hang in the room without striving. Do not try to fix their weight with thought. Instead, let them sink into the space between breaths. Stillness is not empty. It is a room that receives. It is a harbor that takes the boat in and loosens the ropes. In this place, the heart does not have to prove itself. The day can dissolve its clamor. A single quiet will answer. I ask for a small experiment. Close the eyes if that feels safe. Keep the hands loose. Let the shoulders drop. Pay attention to the beat beneath the breastbone. Notice how steady it keeps on. It is a small, faithful rhythm. Follow it. Let each beat mark a gentle anchor in the stillness that comes. There is a kind of recognition. It is the recognition that life continues in soft, breathing ways. Listen to the room. Hear the hum of the building. Hear the distant car. Hear the faint rustle of fabric. Allow these sounds to be part of the stillness. They are not intruders. They are the edges of the quiet Even the smallest noise can be a reminder that the world rests too. The sky outside does not argue. It simply darkens. The trees do not hurry. They fold their leaves. This is the tone of the night. I speak the idea slowly. Stillness brings knowing. Knowing is not a sudden solving. It is a soft resting into truth. The truth is simple. There is a presence that is near. There is an attention that notices the small places of the heart. No performance is required. No list of merits needs to be presented. The knowing rests like a warm hand on a cool forehead. It is steady and calm. Imagine a small room with an open window. Cool air slips in. The curtains move without insistence. A single candle burns on the table. Its flame does not shout. It simply keeps burning. In that light, small things appear differently. A cup, a book, a sock folded half right. The care that notices these small things also notices the quiet stirrings inside the chest. It is a presence that sees without demanding an answer. If worry rises like a wave, do not fight it with force. Watch it as one watches clouds. Notice its edges. Notice its color. Give it a name in your mind if that helps. Then let it move along the sky. The act of naming is not judgment. It is acknowledgement. A thought that is acknowledged can move on more easily. Stillness helps this happen. In stillness, thoughts have room to unfold and then to pass. My voice slows. Each syllable is measured. The breathing becomes a small companion. Breathe in through the nose. Hold for a quiet moment. Breathe out gently. On the out-breath, imagine something slipping away. Perhaps it is a tightness around the throat. Perhaps it is a list of unfinished tasks. Let the exhale carry it. Repeat this a few times. The repetition is a small ritual. Rituals teach the body what the mind seeks to remember. Picture a lake at dusk. The surface is calm. Trees mirror themselves in the water. When a breeze comes, it only touches the surface. Ripples form and then die. The lake does not panic. It receives the breeze and settles. In this same way, the heart can receive disturbance and return to calm. The stillness at the center of things is patient. It waits. It is not surprised by noise. It simply returns to its steady depth. There is mercy in the quiet. Mercy is not loud. It does not proclaim. It comes like an evening breeze that cools a fevered brow. It does not demand reparation. It extends a gentle hand without conditions. To rest in mercy is to be allowed to be intact and imperfect at once. The stillness opens a space where mercy can be practiced by the soul itself. In that space, blame loosens its grip. Hope lives quietly here too. Hope does not have to shout to be real. It can be a small light in a window. It can be the sound of a kettle ready to boil in the morning. Hope keeps the next breath possible. It helps the mind to imagine a gentle tomorrow. To be still is to let hope take root in the small things. It does not ask for certainty. It asks only for a willingness to notice the next small warmth. Do not rush the feeling of not knowing. Ambiguity sits naturally in the dark. The room does not demand clarity. The lamp does not need to name everything in sight. It simply illuminates what it can. In the same way, faith can live with small, uncompleted questions. Stillness helps hold them kindly. It keeps them from growing sharp. If a memory presses at the throat, give it a soft place to land. Imagine placing it on a table. Look at it for a moment, then fold a cloth over it. The memory is still present, but its edges are softened. The rest does not erase what has been. It receives it with gentleness. This is an act of care. It is not neglect. I pause and let silence fill the spaces. The lamp pools light across the pages. The Bible rests open. The phrase about being still lies like a stone on the shore. Stones do not demand. They offer steady presence. The words call for a pause. They ask that hands stop their busy motion for a while. They ask for the heart to be quiet enough to listen. Listening is soft work. It is not a skill of force. It grows when the body relaxes. It grows when the breath lengthens. When the ears open, small truths arrive that were muffled by noise. Perhaps it is the memory of a kindly act. Perhaps it is a fresh sense of being sheltered. Perhaps it is nothing at all, which is all right. Not every visit yields a revelation. Even silence that seems empty is cultivating peace. The posture of stillness need not be dramatic. It can be as simple as lying back and letting a hand rest on the belly. Feel the rise and fall below the ribs. Each movement is a quiet promise. Each moment of breath is a small meeting between body and soul. The Bible has many images that point to rest. They are not elaborate. They are plain and full of care. I fold my hands over the text. I do this slowly. The gesture is a small seal. It marks a moment of pause without closure. The presence that the psalm implies is not distant. It is near enough to notice the softness of a sigh. It is near enough to understand the language of a tired heart. In the stillness, that presence speaks without words. It speaks by being. It is in the room with us, steady and attentive. If sleep arrives, that is welcome. Sleep is a kind of surrender to rest. It follows the same invitation. To sleep is to accept the harbor for a while. If wakefulness remains, let it be companionable. Watch the breath. Watch the lamp. Watch the small shapes in the dark. They will offer their own quiet lessons. When the time comes to move on, do so slowly. Let the body tell its own pace. Keep the memory of the stillness like a small stone in the pocket. Reach for it in the morning if needed. The practice of being still is not an event, but a gathering of small moments. Each moment collects into a broader calm. I let the book rest. The lamp keeps its hum. The room breathes with a soft, even sound. The command to be still lingers like a gentle bell. I will read on when the hour allows. For now, let the silence grow. Let it hold the space between heartbeats. Trust the night to do its quiet work. I sit with the Bible open and the room softened by quiet. I place my palm on the page like a promise. The night keeps its steady hush. I speak with a voice that does not hurry. Tonight I hold a simple thought. God is present everywhere. This is not an idea to puzzle over. It is a soft fact to rest upon. Imagine a single thread woven through a wide cloth. The thread runs under stitches, or edges, Through the pattern, it is always there. Even when hidden, I picture God like that thread. The presence we long for moves under the moments of the day. It holds the cloth together, even when eyes cannot see the connecting line. The fabric remains whole. Notice the small things that show presence. A warm cup left on a table, the kettle that sighs and stops, the way your own hand finds the place it belongs on the blanket. Presence is not dramatic. It arrives in quiet ways. It shows up as a careful attention to small needs. The room and the Bible and the lamp share that attention with us now. Breathe with me. I invite a slow, gentle inhale. Count inside the mind to 3. Hold the breath for a soft beat. Release long, and even to the count of 5. Let the exhale be a small lowering of tension. Repeat this pattern a few times. Each breath goes deeper into the body. Each breath gathers the scattered edges of thought into one calm rhythm. As we breathe, imagine the breath as a messenger. It travels from the lips to the lungs and back again. It travels beyond the chest into the quiet corners of the room. If it helps, place a hand over the heart. Feel the meeting of skin and warmth. That touch anchors the sense of being known. The presence that is near meets the breath there. Silent reassurance lives in those places where hands and breath touch. Silence does not mean absence. Silence often means that something greater is listening. In that listening there is a tenderness that does not need to speak loudly to be sure. Feel the quiet as a kind attention. Let it be a harbor rather than an empty space. Resting in this silence, notice a small easing. Shoulders loosen. The jaw unclenches. The head finds its pillow. Literal or imagined. I turn now to a passage I have kept for nights like this. I do not speak the words as an argument. I offer them as a shelter. The passage invites the tired to come and to find rest. It does not shame the weary. It asks for a simple reception of help. To come is to allow ease to enter. To rest is to let another steadiness carry what is too heavy. The image of a yoke can be hard at first. Think of a yoke not as a straight demand, but as a joining of hands. Picture 2 people walking side by side with a gentle strap across their shoulders. One leads with tenderness. The other follows without strain. Together, they carry what would be awkward, alone. This kind of yoke is companionship. It is a shared burden that becomes lighter because it has 2 shoulders to bear it. The offer is not for more work, disguised as rest. It is an offer to trade rigid independence for a quiet partnership. Imagine a child learning to walk while holding a steady hand. The child does not stop learning. The steps become safer. The falls lessen. The teacher is never distant. This is the tone of the invitation. It is gentle teaching, a patient guidance that knows the pace of small feet. I tell this as one who reads and listens. I have felt the weight of long days. I have known the insistence of tasks that seem urgent. The invitation to rest is a relief that does not require proof of worthiness. It simply asks to be received. To rest here is to allow an exchange, give the heavy, accept the light. The lightness that follows is not a trivial thing. It is a rearrangement of care. Let the breath accompany this thought. breathe in slowly. On the in-breath, imagine placing a small burden into your hands. It may be a worry, a list, a knot of fear. Hold it there for a single count. As you breathe out, imagine passing that burden across to a steady presence beside you. Feel the weight shift. Notice the shoulders release. Let your exhale be a handing over and a softening. Learning from a gentle teacher is not a quick fix. It is a slow soaking of patience. Picture a river that shapes a stone by quiet persistence. The stone does not complain. It does not argue or team. The edges lose their sharpness. The river's work is steady and persistent. So too, the teaching that guides without pressure reshapes how we carry things. It offers new rhythms to the hands and heart. There is mercy in this exchange. Mercy is not an abstract balm. It operates in the small practices of allowance. It is the permission to be tired without being judged. It is the space to be imperfect and to be loved nonetheless. In the hush of the room, mercy feels like a soft hand smoothing the hair from a brow. It is both so simple and so profound. Hope grows out of this mercy. It is not a loud promise of certainty. It is the quiet sense that there will be a next moment where care continues. Hope here may look like a candle left in a window. It does not banish the dark, but it offers a point of orientation in the night. The candle's light says, there is company. That company is enough to make sleep feel safer. I invite a slower cycle of breath now. Inhale for the count of 4. Hold for one soft beat. Exhale for the count of 6. Let the exhale draw out like a ribbon. Repeat this pattern slowly 3 more times. On each out-breath, imagine the yoke settling gently across both shoulders. An even balance. Let the body taste the relief of shared weight. Notice how the silence changes as you breathe. It becomes not empty, but attentive. The breath and the quiet begin to form a rhythm like a lullaby. This is the small music of rest. It does not need a chorus. It needs only a steady line and a willing ear. Allow that music to move through the chest and into the limbs. Let it unwind tension like a cord uncoiling. If memories come that tug at the heart, bring them into the light of this presence rather than pushing them away. Look at them with the soft curiosity you would afford a small child. Ask, without words, for them to be received. Often a memory calmed by attention loses its sting. The presence that listens takes even sharp recollections into a kind steadiness. I sit with you in this moment, and I do not require you to change quickly. The rest on offer is gradual. It is like a slow tide that comes in and smooths the shore. Each wave eases a little more of the sand back into calm. There is time for the waves to work. The pace is gentle and patient. When the room grows even quieter and eyelids feel heavy, let sleep come without hurry. If wakefulness remains, let it be gentle company. Keep returning to the breath. Use the slow pattern when the mind presses. If a thought insists, hand it across to that steady presence. Like passing a lantern from one palm to another, trust that the lantern will be held. I close the book often with a hand that lingers. The lamp keeps its warm glow nearby. The idea of being invited to rest echoes softly in the room. In this echo, the omnipresence I spoke of becomes not a distant truth, but a near and tender fact. It is here with the breath, the hand on the chest, the quiet room. Let that presence be the place where burdens shift and sleep can find you. When you are ready, let your breathing return to its natural song. Let the last exhale be a small surrender and a small gathering. The rest that comes from being known is slow and sure. I stay a little longer in the hush. I will read the passage itself in the next part. For now, hold the image of the yoke as partnership and the breath as a shared rhythm. Let them accompany you into the night. I sit with the Bible open in my lap. The lamp keeps a soft circle of light. My voice stays low. Tonight I want to guide a simple act. It is an act of handing over. It is the quiet receiving of a promise that asks nothing of performance and everything of trust. There is an invitation that I carry gently. It is not a list of rules. It is a doorway left open in the evening. The invitation reaches toward the weary. It asks for heavy hands to come close. It offers a different way for carrying weight. The posture it teaches is not stubborn independence. It is a leaning into care. Feel the weight where it sits. Maybe it rests at the shoulders. Maybe it hangs like a heavy bag by the side. Maybe it presses at the chest as a tightness that will not let the breath settle. Name it inside, quietly. Give it a small, calm label. A name makes a thing possible to move. I invite a small exercise. Breathe in slowly. Let the air travel down to the belly. Hold for a soft count. Breathe out and let some tightness fall away. Repeat this a few times. Each breath is a small clearing. Each exhale loosens a little knot. The breath becomes the hand that guides the movement of letting go. Picture a small bench in a simple room. I place this bench just a few steps from where I sit. The bench is steady. Its surface is broad and kindly. Bring the imagined burden with you. Walk the short distance. The steps are slow and careful. Do not hurry. Lay the weight on the bench. Notice the sound it makes as it lands. Feel a shift in the shoulders when the weight rests on wood instead of bone. Now imagine a presence beside the bench. It is not distant. It comes quietly, with hands that know how to receive. There is no hurry in those hands. They do not pry the burdens open. They take the load as it lies. With a tenderness that surprises, watch as the burden lifts from the bench and is held in a steady, gentle grip. Feel the space left behind on the seat. Notice how the spine finds a little more ease. A small warmth flows down the arms and into the chest. Call that warmth what it is for you, mercy. Relief. Grace. The name matters less than the felt shift. Grace moves like a soft cloth being laid over a weary place. It does not press. It covers. It protects. It is a practical kindness that meets a real ache. Try a different image if the bench does not fit. Imagine placing the trouble on a table. Picture handing over a wrapped parcel. Picture opening a palm and letting a bird alight there. The bird is lighter than expected. It brings a flutter and then a rest. The act of offering changes how the body carries itself. Muscles that had tensed begin to unknot. The face softens. The jaw loosens. This is not magic. It is an invitation. It asks for a willing hand. A small gesture of surrender. It asks for an image to hold, while the heart practices letting go. The practice is quietly powerful. Repetition helps more than force. A few breaths and a gentle handing over build a new pattern in the body. There is no demand to solve every worry at once. Start small. Hand over one thing. Maybe it is a single name on a list of responsibilities. Maybe it is a single fear about tomorrow. Give only that. Notice the relief that comes from a small exchange. Let it be enough for this moment. Imagine the change as an exchange of materials. The heavy thing becomes something light. The stone turns into a feather. The knot becomes a ribbon. Not because the trouble vanishes, but because help takes the weight of it. A lightness settles into the limbs. The chest breathes a little more fully. The mind allows a quiet space to appear. I keep my tone steady as I speak these images. The room remains calm. The Bible lies open beside my hand. I do not press theological proof. I offer a steady fact. There is a presence that invites the weary to come, to exchange burdens for gentleness. The promise is not a demand. It is a handing over without accusation. Practice the act of giving in a few ways. Speak the name of the worry in the mind. Place its shape into the imagined hand beside the bench. Fold it. If it helps, like a small cloth, lay it down. Pause. Let a breath move through the body. Notice what changes, even minimally. Repeat with another small thing if that feels right. If the mind protests, if it says that surrender makes one vulnerable, listen to that voice. Acknowledge it without wrestling. Let it have a seat in the room. Then return to the chair and to the act. Surrender, in this context, is not abandonment. It is a deliberate choice to receive help. It is a transfer from brittle carrying to shared bearing. There is a tenderness in how help meets shame and fear. It accepts the heavy parts without argument. The acceptance itself diminishes their power. When the burden meets the hand that will take it, it loses its sharpness. It becomes a thing that can be set down and looked at without being crushed by urgency. Imagine the heaviness leaving the body in a particular way. Picture it moving out the shoulders, down the arms, and away through the fingertips. Watch it travel like a slow, dark thread, unspooling and then unraveling into light as it reaches the hand that receives. The body follows the image. Muscles that held tightness let go. The neck softens. The face rests. Grace sometimes feels like a cool rain on a fevered brow. Sometimes it feels like the steady hum of a machine doing careful work in the background. Sometimes it is the silence, when a noisy thought ceases insistence. These ways of feeling are all true enough. They are ways the heart and body know that help is near. Hold the sense of being accompanied. Now, there is no shame in having needed help. This presence does not tally failures. It keeps track only of the next small step toward rest. The counting is not of accomplishments, but of breaths and little releases. Each small act of handing over is a gentle strengthening of trust. I invite one more breath pattern. Breathe in slowly for a count that feels natural. Hold for a soft heartbeat. Breathe out longer. imagining the weight moving across the room and settling into waiting hands. On the out-breath, feel the shoulders drop a fraction. Repeat this 3 times. Let each repetition be kinder than the last. Notice what hope does in that space. It does not promise instant clarity. It offers the simple assurance that care continues. Even a faint sense of being held is enough to let the eyelids grow heavy. Hope is not a loud trumpet. It is a gentle companion that keeps the next breath possible. I remain with the image a few moments longer. The bench and the steady hands hold what was given. The room keeps its hush. The lamp keeps its glow. The Bible sits as a quiet witness to the promise being received. There is a calm in the arrangement that did not exist only moments before. If sleep leans in, welcome it. Sleep is a continuation of the handing over. It is the body's acceptance of the rest that was offered if wakefulness remains. Keep returning to the simple act of naming one small thing and placing it where it will be cared for. The practice builds a gentle rhythm in the body. I will read the passage aloud in the next part. I will read it slowly, with room between lines, so that the ear may catch the cadence of the invitation. For now, hold the image of the bench and the kind hands. Let the feeling of lightness settle where it can. Let it be a small harbor in the night. I rest my hand on the open page and linger. The lamp hums softly. The breath moves steady and calm. The exchange has been made in the quiet. The room keeps watch when the reading begins. Let the words meet the place where weight has been given, and rest may fully come. I read the Bible each night before you close your eyes. The pages are thin under my thumb. The words come slowly. The room wears a hush like a soft cloak. In that hush, I learned a lesson that still sits like a quiet stone in my palm. Years back, a season of uncertainty finds me. A steady job ends without warning. The steady paycheck stops. The calendar seems to fold in on itself. Bills arrive like small knocks at the door. Sleep becomes shallow. The mind rehearses worst-case scenes. Food is simple. The days blur. I carry the worry in the shoulders. It lives under the ribs. The world around me does not stop. Leaves fall on schedule. Neighbors water their plants. The sun still moves across the roof. Yet inside the chest, the clock ticks a different way. Every small sound becomes a question. Every silence feels like an answer withheld. Some nights, I sit with the Bible open. The lamp by the chair makes a pool of gentle light. I read in a voice that seeks calm. The passages are not solutions on paper. They are a hand offered in evening. The reading gives shape to a simple discipline. It asks for trust as a posture more than an argument. Trust is not easy when bills pile up. It is not the same as pretending not to be afraid. The hands still write the checks. Resumes still go out. Meetings still happen. Trust, in that hour, looks like one small decision at a time. It looks like turning toward the promise and letting the edges of panic soften. It looks like a slow choosing to believe that the path ahead is not empty. Even when the way is unclear, I decide, slowly, to try that posture. Not as a test of faith, but as a practice of rest. Each night I sit with the Bible and breathe. The breath steadies. The shoulders loosen by a fraction. The mind keeps its worries, but their grip changes. They still exist. They no longer pull the whole body forward. A particular night comes that feels like a turning. Rain moves outside in fine sheets. The lamp throws a steady disk of light across the page. I read aloud in a voice that is soft and deliberate, without forcing anything. I bring one worry to mind and imagine handing it over. I do not ask for an immediate fix. I only place the worry in a kind of waiting room. I fold it into a phrase of trust and let sound carry it out. Sleep comes differently after that night, not like a door slammed shut, but like a slow closing. The mind falls into a rhythm that is not frantic. It rests in a space where something steadier watches. The chest loosens enough to allow fuller breaths. In the morning, fear still sits at the table, but it does not speak as loudly. The edges of the day hold a small quiet that was not there before. The changes that follow are not dramatic. The phone call that offers a new job takes weeks. A neighbor leaves bread on the porch when funds are tight. A friend offers an extra hour of work for a quiet fee. None of these are miracles in the way. Stories sometimes promise. They are small acts of care that arrive while the heart is learning to trust. The trust is not a guarantee of easy outcomes. It is a steadying that makes space for help to be received. I learn that trusting God's plan does not mean sitting idle. It means continuing the work that is in front of me, while holding the bigger picture with a softer hand. I polish the resume. I walk to interviews. I answer calls. At night, I return to the Bible and the lamp. The practice of reading anchors the days. The presence felt in those pages becomes a quiet companion for the errands and the conversations and the days that stretch on. There is a particular morning I remember. The sky is thin and pale. A letter arrives sooner than expected. It is a small offer for part-time work. It will not cover everything. It will cover enough to give a breathing space. The relief is not immediate jubilation. Instead, it arrives as a long exhale. The breath that had been kept shallow finds room. The chest remembers how to move. That relief is not the final answer to the season. More steps follow. Interviews lead to more interviews. Some doors close. Others open a little wider. Yet through the months, a quieter thing grows inside. A recognition that the next step will be met. Not that the road will be easy. But that help comes in ways that do not always demand dazzling signs. A small kindness. A steady word. A neighbor's loaf. These begin to line the path. Trust in God's plan shapes the way the difficulties are held. It allows the heart to fold less tightly around fear. The body stops bracing, as if against an expected blow. Sleep returns in pieces at first. Then it deepens. Dreams become less jagged. The mind begins to imagine mornings, where the list of worries is not the first thought upon waking. One evening, in that slower place, I read again, and the sentence lands differently. The promise I had known intellectually becomes a felt thing. It is as if a warm hand steadies the shoulder. The world does not change in an instant. The accounts still require tending, but the inner weather shifts. Cold panic thaws to a gentler concern. The work stays real, The anxiety loses its power to steal the present. Trust also reshapes relationships. When fear no longer speaks as loudly. Conversation calme. A friend hears the worry, but does not receive the panic. A partner in life can listen without being pulled into crisis. Decisions become shared in a clearer way. The doing of life becomes less choreographed by dread and more by choices made together. There are nights when old anxiety tries to return. It knocks at the window in familiar rhythms. When that happens, I go back to the practice. I sit with the Bible and breathe. I name one small thing and place it in an imagined hand that will receive it. Images help. A small folded cloth. A single pebble placed on a shore. These images change the body's response. Muscles release. The jaw unclenches. The mind recognizes a safe shape to rest in. The peace that grows is not a final triumph. It is not the removal of all struggle. It is a quiet presence that steadies the hands while the work continues. It is an evening song that softens the edges of the day. It allows room for holes and for mending. It keeps company with the real tasks on the table. I speak about this story in a way that asks not for credit. I do not present it as a model to mimic without nuance. It is a small report from a life that learns. The lesson I wish to pass on is simple. Trust does not avoid effort. It changes the posture with which effort is performed. It offers an inner steadiness that the restless heart can return to. It is like a compass that does not stop storms, but helps the hand steer through them. Sometimes it feels like the trust was given to me rather than something I gathered myself. In quiet moments, the sense of being watched over is gentle and practical. It shows up in small kindnesses and in the endurance to keep moving forward one step at a time. The presence that the Bible describes becomes less a distant idea and more a companion in the room with a lamp. The final months of that season blur into a steadying routine. The work stabilizes. Savings rebuild slowly. The cadence of prayer and reading continues. I take no credit for sudden fixes. I keep the practice because it keeps the peace. The peace is not flashy. It is the soft tone the voice takes when fear is not in charge. It is the way sleep returns when the body is allowed to trust air into the lungs without tightness. No. When nights arrive and the mind wants to run with worry, I return to the same small acts. I open the Bible. I read slowly. I breathe. I hand over one thing at a time. The practice has a memory built into the body. The muscle of trust grows in quiet repetitions. It does not erase caution. It simply changes fear's role at the table. There is a calm in that memory that I bring to you tonight. The lamp is still. The Bible rests. My voice is low. If worry sits heavy where you are invited to this slow practice. You do not have to solve everything before sleep. Begin with one small trust. Place it gently into the hand beside you. Breathe. Let the exhale carry the weight to a place that is steady. The story ends not with neat closure, but with a continued habit. Trust becomes a habit as simple as touching the page and breathing. It becomes the background music to ordinary days. It does not cancel the hard parts. It makes them less capable of stealing the whole night. I will read a passage in the next part. I will read with a steady pace so that the ear can catch the rhythm. and the heart may follow. For now, let the memory of a small, steady peace sit with you. Let it be a soft companion while the lamp keeps watch. Let the breath remember how to rest. I lift the Bible and let my fingers rest on the page. The lamp makes a calm pool of light. Tonight I bring a simple line from Ephesians to the room. I do not recite words like a lecture. I speak them like a friend who bends close to pass along a quiet truth. Be kind to one another. Be tender in heart. Forgive as Christ forgave. Those words are not heavy commands tonight. They are an invitation to let go. They are a gentle map for a small, freeing act. Take a breath with me. Inhale slowly. Hold for a soft count. Exhale long. Let the body follow the breath. The breath is an honest guide. It tells where tension lives. It tells where a wound hides its weight. Notice where hurt sits inside. Maybe it is a tight knot at the throat. Maybe it is a dull pressure across the chest. Maybe the legs feel restless. Give that place a name in your mind. A single word will do. Sometimes naming eases the edge of a thing. It makes the heavy part something you can look at. Now picture a river that moves through a tranquil valley. The water carries small leaves and the scent of earth. On the bank, you hold a leaf that has in it the memory of a wound. It might be a hurt caused by another. It might be a harsh word you keep repeating. It might be an old choice you regret. For a moment, feel the weight of the leaf in your palm. Forgiveness does not erase what happened. It does not pretend the wound is nothing. Forgiveness is a letting go of the power that hurt holds over your heart. It is a small, steady hand unclasping a grip. It is not weakness. It is a kindness you give yourself more than anyone else. Bring the image of the river closer. Place the leaf on the water. Watch the current. Take it. The leaf does not vanish by force. It drifts. It turns. It meets stones and light. The river does not argue with the leaf's history. It simply carries it onward. As the leaf goes, notice a subtle change. The shoulders ease by a fraction. The breath finds a little more room. A small space opens where tension once lived. This space is not empty. It is room for mercy to come in. If the person to be forgiven is near in memory, place their face gently on the other side of the riverbank. No need to rehearse blame. Hold their image without pushing. Saying their name silently is enough. The act of naming does not mean endorsing what they did. It means acknowledging a part of your story. Consider these steps as a practice. First, see the hurt. Second, name it. Third, imagine placing it into the river. Fourth, feel the change in the body when the grip loosens. Repeat as needed. Begin with one small thing. Forgiving everything at once can feel like asking too much. Start with one leaf. Now turn the river toward yourself. There are times when the hardest person to forgive is the one in the mirror. Maybe regret follows certain choices like shadows. Maybe a mistake replays without mercy. Bring that memory to the river too. Place it on the water. Let compassion for yourself move in like a soft current. Forgiving the self does not mean excusing harm done to others. It means allowing healing to begin. It means making space, to learn. It is a practical surrender of the need to punish continually. If the hands tremble while letting go, that is all right. Tenderness often comes with trembling. If there is resistance, name it. Tell the resistance gently why the release may be needed. Say inside the head that forgiving does not mean forgetting. It means not letting the hurt keep steering the rest of the day. Sometimes adding a simple phrase, "Helps I choose to let this go for my own rest." Repeat it slowly with the breath. We remember that forgiveness is modeled in small, steady ways. The passage reminds us that forgiveness follows the way we are received. Imagine grace pouring not as a thunderbolt, but like rain that soaks a dry field over many evenings. The soil softens, plants begin to lift their leaves again. Grace in your life works like that. If it feels right, picture Christ's hand beside yours on the riverbank. This hand does not take away responsibility. It holds steady as you loosen your grip. It is a witness to the letting go. The presence beside you offers a steady warmth, the kind that does not demand proof, but simply accompanies the small act. Let that presence be the place where the weight lands. If that brings comfort, forgiveness sometimes raises fear that letting go will invite harm again. That fear deserves care. Forgiveness does not require immediate reconciliation in every case. It does not always mean returning to what was unsafe. It can be a private, interior release that frees the heart while boundaries stay in place. Keep the judgments of safety in one hand and the act of release in the other. If regret for something done sits heavy, think of it as a knot. With the breath, picture gently working the knot loose. No harsh tugging, no judgments that harden the hands. Just a tender untying. Each breath is a loop opened. Each small loosening allows a thread of peace to pass through. Forgiveness is a process more than a single event. It may return in waves. Some nights the river seems to swallow the leaf easily. Other nights the leaf catches on a root and you must nudge it again. Be patient with the rhythm. The habit of returning to the river teaches the muscles of the heart to loosen over time when releasing forgiveness toward another. It helps to separate the act from the person's consequences. You can forgive in your heart and yet still pursue what keeps you safe. Imagine two paths beside the river. One path holds the letting go within. The other carries measures that protect what needs protection. Both can be true at once. Now listen. Notice the gentle change in the room as this practice unfolds. The lamp seems softer. The breath slows. The body allows a small lengthening. The mind registers relief like a small bell. This relief is not an erasing of memory. It is a return of energy that was once tied up in the hurt. Offer a small prayer, not because words must fix anything, but because they mark an intention. Say guiedly, if it helps, that you want to be freed from the way hurt binds. Ask for help to remember that release is possible. Let the request be simple and without drama. If forgiving yourself is particularly hard, try a written practice. Write one sentence that names the act. Write one sentence that names regret. Then write one sentence that names one small step toward change. Put the paper by the lamp and let it rest. The act of writing moves the matter from thought to shape. Shaping makes movement easier. Remember that forgiveness often brings back a lightness that had been missing. It does not mean forgetting lessons learned. It means stopping the replay of harm. The mind that once looped a painful scene gets new space for small joys. A cup of tea tastes fuller. A bed feels more like rest. Sleep becomes softer. If anger surfaces, welcome it without letting it dictate the moment. Anger can be a guide. Notice where the anger lives. Use the breath to move its edges. Let the river take some of the heat away. Anger that is seen and cared for loses its sharpness faster. We are not aiming for perfection. The work of forgiveness is humble in scope. It asks for small changes, a loosened grip, one leaf on the river, a softer breath. These small changes gather into a different posture towards days. They do not fix every wound at once, but they free enough energy for tenderness to grow again. Stay with the quiet a few moments. Feel the breath. Watch the river in the mind. Notice the place where the chest yields a degree of ease. Let that ease be an offering to the night. Let it be a gift to the self that has carried much. When sleep draws near, allow it to come as part of the release. Sleep will continue the river's work in its slow hours. If wakefulness remains, return to the practice. Name one small thing to forgive and trace it to the water. Repeat the steps. Keep them simple. Keep them kind. I close the book lightly and rest my hand upon it. The lamp keeps a patient glow. Forgiveness is not a box to be ticked. It is a gentle habit formed by return. Tonight's practice asks for just one small letting go. Let the room carry it for you as you breathe. Let the presence beside you hold it until the morning light. When the reading resumes in the next part, I will speak slowly again. I will give room for the words to settle. For now, keep the river in your mind and the small image of freedom there. Let it shape the slow closing of the night. I turn the pages slowly. The lamp spills a quiet circle of light. The Bible rests warm in my hands. My voice is low. I read not to teach, but to hold a calm for the night. Tonight, I think of grace. I say the word softly. It is easy to feel like grace is rare. Like a coin found once and then kept, the passage we carry says otherwise. It says, grace is not a single coin but a river. It says, from his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. The phrase sits like a lantern in the dark. It makes a simple claim there is more than enough. Picture a blanket. It is large and soft. It is folded on a chair. I imagine lifting it and letting it fall across shoulders. The cloth is warm. It shapes itself to the body. It does not ask for merit. It only covers. Let that image move slowly into the room in your mind. The blanket is not thin. It is layered. Each fold is a gift. Each fold edges out a margin of rest. Grace is like that blanket. It comes without audit. It comes without demand. It slips over the places that ache. It settles where the night feels too long. Imagine the shoulders easing under its weight. Imagine the breath finding a little more room. Allow the picture to last as long as it wants. I lower my voice and draw the air in with you. Breathe in if that feels safe. Let the in-breath be a small receiving. picture grace as the air you draw. The chest opens just enough. Hold for a gentle moment. Breathe out slowly. Let the out-breath be a quiet acceptance. Do this again. Receive. Accept. The rhythm becomes a soft hymn without words. Grace often arrives in small ways. A neighbor's quiet kindness, a friend who remembers, a loaf left at a door, a glance that says, "I see you." These are not grand gestures. They are small stitches that hold a day together. Imagine each small kindness as a thread. The threads gather into a cloth. That cloth becomes a covering. It is both human and divine. It is practical, tender, near. Think of a tide that keeps coming, not a storm surge that demands attention. A steady tide that returns day after day. It laps at a shore and then pulls back. The shoreline does not resist. Over time, the shore changes softly. The tide does not brag. It simply continues. Grace works the same way. It is continual. It is abundant because it does not tire. Hold a memory that feels heavy. I do not ask you to examine it at length. Place it in the palm of imagination like a small stone. Now picture the tide coming in. Let the water take the stone gently. It does not erase the stone's shape in memory. The stone has been part of the shore, but the water moves it into a new position. The mind that once clenched the memory can relax a little. Grace is not a sudden replacement of hard things. It is a steady companion that changes how the hard things are carried. It meets the tightness in the chest and gives permission for the muscles to unbrace. It sits in the room like a quiet presence, watching without hurry. This watching is kind. It does not tally mistakes. It only keeps company. Imagine light falling across the page. The lamp does not glare. The light simply reaches. It finds small spots of dust and turns them into floating beads. In the same way, grace notices the small edges of life. It touches the ordinary. A slow hand reaches to smooth a ruffled collar. A voice leans close to speak, a single word that matters. The small acts are the way abundance shows up. I speak as one who reads these words at night. I have felt seasons when the well seemed low. I know the fear that measures what is left. In those seasons, grace felt like a slow replenishing, not a wellspring blasted from the earth. A gentle filling that met my cup again and again. First a sip, then another. The rhythm of receiving changed how the day could be moved through. Do not think that abundance means a lack of sorrow. The two can sit together. A room can be dim and yet have a lamp that gives enough light to walk by. Pain and grace are not opposites in a cup. They can live side by side. Grace holds the pain without minimizing it. It does not rush the morning. It simply will not allow the sorrow to be all there is. Try an image of clothing worn by a friend, a jacket left behind at a bench. You pick it up and slip it on. For a moment you feel their warmth. You remember the comfort of a presence that cared for you. Grace is similar. It can be taken on like a garment. The wearing does not pretend the cold away. It gives a buffer against it. That buffer is enough to let sleep come. If the mind grows busy, return to the breath. Let the inhalation be a soft receiving of grace. Let the exhale be a spreading of that same grace through the body. Imagine it moving into tight shoulders, through the jaw, down the hands, into the legs. Each exhale carries a tiny easing. Repeat this pattern. The breath becomes a shuttle. It weaves grace into the fabric of the night. Picture a house at evening. The windows glow one by one. Each lit room holds its own small life. The house is not a glare of many sermons. It is the warmth of kitchens and chairs, of cups cooling on saucers. Grace is like that evening illumination. It is not an argument. It is presence that comports itself in modest, real ways. It warms a corner. It keeps watch. Grace is also patient. It comes in its time. It sometimes waits until a heart is ready to receive. But it does not leave. It is like a steady light under a slow cloud. The cloud can seem to block it. Still, the light continues. It is only a matter of time before the cloud thins, and the light is noticed again. I keep my hand on the page while I speak. The book is a quiet witness. The words within it point to this continual giving grace upon grace. I do not offer complex theology. I offer a simple assurance. There is an ample mercy. There is an ever-present kindness. These things meet the tired with practical tenderness. If resistance rises, name it softly. A thought might say you are undeserving. Hear it, then return to the image of the blanket. Worthiness is not the condition for the covering. The covering comes. Let that be a strange relief. Let the mind rest with the dissonance. It is allowed to feel unsure. Grace does not punish the doubt. It continues to cover. When sleep feels near, imagine yourself lying under the large blanket. The room narrows to the edge of the lamp's glow. The world outside goes on with its small motions. Inside there is a space, quiet and steady. The breath deepens. The mind has room to let go of testing and proving. Let the grace that is described be the hand that loosens the grip left in the day. There are moments when grace shows as a reluctance to let go. A neighbor sits with you. A friend holds the phone. A child reaches a hand for a quick squeeze. These moments are small, but they are the same abundance in tangible form. Grace is not only a theological word, it is living kindness that finds a way to be real. I will sit with this silence a while. The lamp keeps its pool. The Bible rests open. Let the senses come back to a slow rhythm. Hear the soft hum of the house. Feel the weight of blankets. Notice the skin of the face against the pillow. The presence that gives grace is not loud. It is present. It is enough. When the next part comes, I will read the phrase slowly. I will let the cadence shape the ear. I will speak the image plainly, so the room may receive it. For now, hold the feeling of being wrapped. Let the picture of abundance gather the night into a safe place. Let the breath carry you back to the lamp and to the blanket. Let the thought of grace upon grace settle like a soft hand on the chest. Rest here a little longer. Receive. Breathe. Be covered. The night keeps watch. The promise keeps offering. Sleep when you are ready. I will be here to read on. I sit with the book open and a soft lamp at my side. The room breathes in slow time. A clock ticks in the other room like a distant heartbeat. I bring a short passage to mind, a quiet instruction that asks for a gentle turn. It says, in plain terms, do not be anxious. Bring your needs in prayer and in thanks. Peace will come to guard the heart. I want to tell a single story tonight. It is small. It is not a sermon. It is a witness to what happens when prayer and gratitude meet a worried heart. I met this person at a table by the window. The light was weak that afternoon. The hands that folded the cup were steady, but the eyes held a kind of worn caution. The life on the table was full of ordinary things, and a few visible scars, a ledger, a pair of glasses, a letter half open. This person carries worry like an old coat. It fits by habit. The coat is heavy at the shoulders. It smells faintly of past storms. Most nights do not promise sleep. Night is a long room of rehearsed fears. Each worry sits like a small lamp left on in a hallway, casting a thin, anxious light. One evening, a simple practice begin. Prayer does not arrive as a grand act. It begins with a single, modest choice. The first step is to speak the concern into the quiet, not allowed for the world to hear, but in the hush where a voice can be honest. The second step is to name one thing to be grateful for: a neighbor's kindness, a meal that came on a hard day, the warmth of a mug. The practice reads like this. Each anxious thought is given a shape. Each shape is then placed beside a moment of thanks. The pairing is small. A worry and a gratitude sit together like two notes in a quiet tune. Over nights, the tune changes. At first, the change is hardly noticeable. Sleep still arrives in fragments. The mind still rehearses sharp scenes, but the hands that once tightened each evening begin to relax before lying down. A jaw unclenches. The breath grows a little longer. A place that felt permanently tense learns the memory of ease. The real change comes not when a single anxiety disappears, but when the heart no longer feels obliged to solve everything before rest. Prayer becomes a small table where things can be set down. Thanksgiving becomes a lamp that keeps the table visible. Set down a fear, light a small, grateful thought. Step away. Repeat. Practical things shift as well. Choices made in the daytime are steadier. A decision no longer carries the acuteness of panic. The voice on the phone sounds less rushed. The morning routine gains a margin for calm. The ledger is still on the table, but the hands that tally numbers no longer shake in the same way. A particular night stands out. A bill arrives that should have caused a familiar wave of panic. Instead, the person sits in the dim and writes 2 lines. One names the need. The other names one small thing to be thankful for that day. The 2 lines become a ritual. The list does not erase the practical facts. It simply makes room for a presence that helps carry them. In time, a subtle peace grows. It is not the loud kind. It is a watchful peace. It sits across from the restless thoughts like a guard that does not scold. It watches, and the watchfulness changes the power of the worry. The mind notices the guard. The heart rests under that vigil. Relationships begin to show the change. Where panic used to seize small conversations, a steadier tone appears. people listen differently when worry does not dominate the voice. A partner learns to speak calmly. A friend leans in instead of pulling away. The person who once braced for loss now can meet another's sadness without being swamped. The body remembers the change. 2. Nights lengthen. Dreams are less jagged. The stomach tightens less frequently. A sleep that was once thin begins to hold. Morning arrives with a possibility that does not feel like a cliff edge. The world keeps its ups and downs. The inner weather becomes more quiet through the storms. This shift is not perfection. Some evenings the old coat returns. Anxiety tightens its familiar threads. But the practice is there, the habit of naming a need, speaking it into prayer, and pairing it with a small gratitude provides a route back. It is a simple map for the mind. When the path is walked often enough, the body learns the steps. I invite you to imagine doing the same in this quiet, not as a test, not as a demand, as an experiment tonight. Pick one small worry that visits you again and again. Give it a name inside. Then pick one small thing you are thankful for today. It can be as slight as a good cup of tea. It can be as deep as a hand that held yours in a moment of fear. Let the two sit together for a breath. Try a short breathing practice to hold the pairing. Breathe in slowly. On the in-breath, bring the small worry into the mind like a small pebble. Breathe out softly and place that pebble beside a warm, grateful image. Breathe in again. Hold for a gentle count. Breathe out and let the feeling of thanks spread through the chest. Repeat 3 times. The body hears the pattern. The heart learns the cadence. You will not be asked to perform a miracle. The practice is humble. It is a series of small acts. These acts, repeated, shape a quiet within the bones. They invite the peace that was promised to stand at the center of nights, even when the outer circumstances are noisy. Think of the peace as a guard. Guards do not erase trouble. They keep watch. They stand between you and an overwhelming tide. The guarding peace that the passage speaks of is like that. It does not make all storms cease. It keeps your heart and mind from being swept away. Reflect for a moment on how grace may have touched your life already. Not in grand declarations, but in subtle ways. A meal at the right time, a timely word, a day when a hard thought simply did not crowd the mind as it usually does, a sudden patience with a loved one, an unexpected sleep. These small mercies are traces of grace at work. You may think of a time when worry pressed, and yet something gentle came through. Maybe an answer arrived that was not dramatic but practical. Maybe kindness came through a stranger's small act. Maybe a night passed with surprising calm. Hold these memories without having to explain them. Let them be small proofs that help can come quietly. If resistance rises, notice it without harshness. The mind may say that peace is unreachable. It may say that prayer is useless. Acknowledge those thoughts. Ask them to make room for the small practice anyway. The soft work of peace asks only for repetition, not perfection. There is a final gentle invitation. Before sleep, place one concern in the care of prayer. Name it Add one short sentence of thanks. You need not make an argument. You need not rehearse every detail. Simply present the need and the gratitude. Then breathe and let a quiet come. The person in my story does this now most nights. The coat of worry still exists in the closet, but it is no longer worn by default. Some evenings it comes out for a moment. Some mornings it rests in a corner. The inner weather is not permanently bright. It is steadier. The guard keeps watch. Rest in that possibility for yourself tonight. You are invited to bring your small needs into the hush. You are invited to notice the small things that have been given. Do it with gentle patience. Do it without demand. Allow the practice the time it needs. I will read the passage slowly in the next part. I will speak it in a low tone, so the ear may take its cadence in. For now, let this story sit in the room. Let it be a quiet companion. As the lamp softens, prepare one small worry and one small thing to be thankful for. Hold them together for a breath. Let the evening carry them both towards a watchful peace. I open the Bible and let the page fall where the lamp's light rests. Soft. I speak in a low tone. Tonight I choose a single promise to hold. The words come slowly. They are a small harbor. I read Isaiah 4:3-2 in a voice that does not hurry. When you pass through the waters, I am with you. When you walk through fire, you do not burn. The sentence lands like a steady stone. It asks nothing of the night except to be received. I tell a story from a time when the words find me in practice, not just in thought. A season comes that feels like a flood. Bills, stack. A loved one grows quiet, and then ill. The routine of days fractures into new patterns. Nights become a series of small alarms. I learn what it is to walk on water that is not calm. I stand, in memory, on a narrow bank. The river is swollen, slow and heavy. I can hear it move beneath the surface. I step forward, and the current takes the shoes first. The cold moves up the calves. For a long moment, the instinct is to pull back. The mind rehearses the worst exits. Panic tends to make the steps quick and clumsy. Instead, I breathe. I plant my feet. I notice the way the shoulders brace. I let them uncoil by a fraction. The lamp beside me is a small reason to stay. The Bible in my hands is a steadier reason. The sentence I read becomes a companion phrase. It repeats in the mind, I am with you. When the water climbs, it does not become a flood of accusation. It becomes a test of what steadies the heart. I hold the hand of that phrase like a rope. It is neither distant nor theatrical. It is a simple presence that walks with the feet that are wet. That presence does not promise that the current will vanish. It promises company in the crossing. I think of a small boat on a black river. The oars dip and rise. Rain taps a slow rhythm on the wood. I am not the only one at the oars. A steady figure sits across from me. They do not shout or demand. They keep the light in a lantern. The work is quiet. The boat makes small progress. The presence is not a momentary rescue. It is a patient steering. Feel the breath with me. Inhale for 3 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale for 5. Let the air travel down into the lungs. Let it meet the place where the chest tightens. Each breath is a small proof that the body keeps going. Each out-breath moves fear just a bit downstream. There is another kind of trial. It comes as heat. It is a day when decisions burn too hot. It is a night when words are sharp enough to scar. I picture a forge. The air shimmers. Sparks fly. The metal does not keep its old shape. It yields. In that furnace, I learned something that gentle fires teach. The presence that walks through fire does not abandon the one being formed. It stands near enough to cool a brow. It offers a steady hand when judgment might snap. I remember a night in a hospital room. The machines make a steady, unremarkable score. The smell is antiseptic, and the lamp is small. A person I love rests, and fear moves around us like an animal. In that room I read the verse again. The promise becomes a slow stool I can sit on for a time. The throbbing patience of presence is more real than any hurried prayer. The watchfulness softens the edges of panic. Trials have a way of making solitude feel absolute. The mind imagines itself alone on a cliff. I have found that presence can feel like a hand laid quietly on the shoulder. It does not explain away every reason for fear. It simply makes the footing wider, the shoulder steadies, the breath lengthens. The night seems less infinite. When fear tugs at the sleeve, I make a small practice. I choose one image to hold a lighthouse on a distant shore. Its beam sweeps slow and regular. It does not chase the storm. It keeps on. Fix your gaze on that motion. Imagine the light reaching across the water to catch your tired eyes. The lighthouse is not the end of the journey. It is a point of orientation. It says, "You are not adrift." Repeat the phrase quietly in the mind, "I am with you." Let it be as plain as the light. Say it without arguing. Let the rhythm of the words match the breathing. Inhale, I am. Exhale, with you. Breathe like that, 3 times. The mind hears the pattern. The heart begins to loosen. There are times when trials are slow and small. They come as months that do not end. Each day brings a ledger of details that contain no immediate solution. The draining fatigue is real. It is in the hands and in the jaw. For those seasons I learned to measure life in tiny clauses. 1 good cup of tea. 1 clean shirt. 1 small kindness noticed and received. Presence keeps track of these small things. Presence counts the cups and saves them like stones in a pocket. Hope grows differently in these seasons. It does not arrive as fireworks. It comes as steady bread. It is the memory that the hand does not carry alone. It is the sense that a presence walks paths we do not have maps for. That sense is enough sometimes. It is enough to let the eyes close for a short while. If shame comes with trial, name it briefly without argument. The mind often wants to rehearse blame. Let it speak. Then hand it a small phrase. Not my doing alone. You do not have to solve the moral calculus tonight. You only have to breathe and hold the truth that presence visits shame too. It makes room for repair in time. I place my palm on the open page and let the paper quiet beneath it. The lamp throws a ring of light. The house hums in even tones. The verse sits beneath my hand like a steady thing. It does not demand a wild faith. It asks only for a small acceptance. Accept that you are not alone in the deep water. Accept that the fire does not consume you while you walk through it. Try a brief practice now. Picture the trial as a simple shape, a wave, a flame, a tight knot in the belly. See it and hold it without adding drama. Take 3 slow breaths. On each out-breath, imagine a small presence stepping closer. Not to fix, but to stand. Feel the shoulders ease. Let the stomach soften by a fraction. Notice the mouth unclench. If sleep presses in, allow it. Sleep does not ignore the trial. It simply continues the staying that has begun. In the dark hours, presence often moves like a watch. It does not need to speak loudly to be effective. It simply keeps the room guarded. The promise in Isaiah moves into the quiet work of guarding the mind while the body rests. There are nights when the water is not outside at all, but inside. Grief can be internal and heavy. It sits in the lungs. It changes the way breath feels. For those nights, the promise works in small parts. The presence is a simple companion who does not hurry grieving along. It sets a small candle and waits. It will not make the sorrow vanish. It will bear a steady light while the sorrow moves. I have learned to make practical room for the presence. I set a lamp. I place the Bible where hands can reach it without searching. I keep a glass of water nearby. These preparations are not superstitious. They are ways of telling the body that care is near. The body remembers the habits. It relaxes into them. When dawn comes, do not expect every difficulty to be solved by then. Expect only that the weight will be handled a little better. The steps will be more likely to find level ground. The mind will be less apt to pull the whole day toward panic. The presence does not promise a clean sweep. It promises company in the sweep. Before I close the book tonight, I offer one small image to hold through sleep. Imagine a star that moves behind clouds. It is there whether the eye sees it or not. The clouds thin at times. The star becomes visible. Sometimes only a single bright point shows in a vast dark. It is enough to be a guide. Keep that star as a memory of the verse. Let it remind you that presence persists even when visible signs are few. I place a bookmark between the pages and let my finger rest on the margin. The lamp eats away at shadows near the glass. The house breathes in slow rhythm. The verse remains like a small tide in the mind. If wakefulness returns, return to the practice name, the trial. Breathe. Picture the presence. Repeat the phrase, I am with you. Let the pattern of breath and image be the thing that steadies the night. When the next part begins, I will read slowly from this chapter again. I will give space for the ear to catch the cadence of promise. For now, hold the picture of the boat and the lighthouse, the forge and the watching hand. Trust the smallness of these images to do large work. Rest as the presence keeps watch. I sit with the Bible open and the night folded around the house. My voice is low. The pages rest warm under my palm. Tonight I hold a quiet thought. Prayer soothes not by solving everything, but by making a small, steady room where the heart can be simpler. Prayer, in its softest form, looks like breathing, a slow inhalation, a gentle exhale, The body remembers how to be present when the breath is held as an act. This is not about clever words. It is about returning attention to one place again and again. That return itself calms. I describe a simple practice. Close the eyes if that helps. Rest the hands where they want to rest. Breathe slowly. On the in-breath, notice a single need. On the out-breath, release it gently. No argument. No attempt to fix the future in that moment. The movement becomes a rhythm. A rhythm can steady the body more quickly than a long list of reasons to be calm. Prayer also soothes because it organizes scattered thoughts. The mind often flits from one anxious scene to the next. Prayer offers a small container. In that container, pieces can be set like jars on a shelf. Each jar has its label. One jar holds grief. Another holds a petty irritation. Another holds a soft thank you. Seeing them lined up makes the day feel less like a storm. The jars are not emptied by the act of labeling. They are simply gathered. Gathering is work that the heart can do without frantic energy. There is a habit of prayer that helps the body settle. The same short act repeated at bedtime trains muscles and nerves. The hands, the throat, the shoulders begin to expect the pause. A routine becomes an anchor. It tells the nervous system that some part of the night is safe. The habit is small, a few minutes. A short phrase. A pause for silence. Repetition quietly rewires the instinct to rush into the night. Prayer provides a voice for things that cannot be held in speech. Some worries feel too large or too foolish to say aloud. Other cares are too tender to parade in the mind. Prayer allows those things to find a form that is both private and real. Saying a need, even in the quiet of thought, releases the grip of secrecy. The body drops a fraction in tension when a long-pressed worry is named. The simple act of naming moves the worry from a tight private knot into something that can be tended. Listening is part of prayer's soothing power. Prayer does not have to be all asking. It can be a slow listening. Sitting quiet after a short petition opens a space where gentler thoughts arrive. Sometimes the arrival is an image. Sometimes a remembered kindness. Sometimes a sudden softening of the jaw. These small answers are not always dramatic. They are the quiet work of a presence that waits with us. The practice of silence trains the ear to hear the small, steady responses that otherwise slip by as noise. Gratitude and prayer work together as a balm. Naming a single thing to be thankful for changes the shape of the evening. Gratitude is a small lamp. It does not banish all darkness. It simply gives a point to focus on. Pairing a need with a single grateful thought shifts the mind from siege to table. The two together, request and thanks, allow the heart to be honest without being overwhelmed. Confession in prayer is not a harsh duty here. It is an honest handing over of what weighs. The act of admitting a shortcoming or a failure can loosen the shoulders that have been braced by shame. Confession becomes an unclenching. The admission itself is often the release. It makes room for tenderness and for small repair in the morning light. Praying for others steadies the self. When the gaze leaves its own troubles to hold another's name, a strange balance happens. Concern widens into compassion. The loop of self-worry loosens. Intercession does not solve another person's story. It widens the heart. It softens the tight center where fear often nests. Community prayer, knowing others pray. Speaking a phrase with others, or remembering that a neighbor keeps watch, makes a difference that is small and real. Loneliness can amplify worry. The knowledge that others carry similar habits of prayer creates a subtle companionship. It is like hearing distant footsteps in a quiet corridor. The steps are not loud, but they are proof that one does not walk the hall alone. Prayer can be practical. A short list placed before sleep helps the mind stop rehearsing. Write 1 or 2 items that need action tomorrow. Set the list by the bedside. The act of writing moves those tasks into the world of tomorrow. Where they belong, the hand has done its part. The mind can then give the night a different work, rest. There are physical ways prayer soothes. A steady pattern of breath lowers the heart rate. A relaxed jaw eases muscle tension. Ad delibera de posture. Even a small adjustment tells the nervous system it is permitted to slow. The body takes cues from the stillness. When the muscles are soothed, the mind slows. This is simple physiology. Present and dependable. Imagery helps the practice hold. Picture a small garden at night. The beds are tended in daylight. Now the gardener steps away and leaves a soft covering over tender plants. The covering does not make the weather change. It simply protects what is fragile. Prayer is that gentle covering. It keeps the small green places of the heart from being trampled by worry's feet. Praying scripture is a particular comfort. Reading a short verse aloud and letting its rhythm sit in the chest gives the mind a linguistic anchor. Biblical phrases often come in steady cadences that match the breath. The words become a scaffold for quiet. They do not force understanding. They simply provide a familiar shape to rest in. The habit of repeating a verse slowly can become a lullaby, steadying the ear and the heart. A small story from my life sits with me as proof of this work. There is a night when the worry about a loved one's health felt like a tight stone in the throat. The hands trembled. Sleep fled. I read a short passage. I breathed a small prayer. Then I sat very still and listened. In the silence, a thought came that was not an answer, but a soft assurance. The body eased enough to sleep in pieces. Not all fear vanished. The stone remained, but it rested in a place where help could meet it in the morning. The next day, small practical kindnesses arrived in sequence. The prayer did not force the outcome. It altered the posture of the body enough to receive help when it came. If resistance arises, if the mind says that prayer is useless or that quiet wastes time, notice that voice and let it be. Do not wrestle. Offer the tiny practice anyway. It is humble work. It asks for repetition rather than proof. Often the habit changes the body before the mind catches up. That is enough. Practical steps to try tonight. Pick a short moment. Perhaps 2 to 5 minutes. Sit comfortably. Breathe slowly. Name one need. Name one small thing to be grateful for. Pause and listen for a single breath's worth of stillness. If helpful, hold a short verse in the mind or read one line from the Bible. Let the breath carry the words. Let the body settle, close with a quiet handing over. Not as a declaration of certainty, but as a small surrender of burdens to be tended elsewhere. Prayer is not a promise that trouble will vanish. It is a steady practice that changes how trouble sits with the body and mind. It does not erase the hard facts of life. It makes them lighter to carry. It trains the heart to receive small mercy. The night can then do its own work of mending and rest. I keep my hand on the open page for a moment. The lamp warms the room. The house holds its hush. When the next part begins, I will read slowly from a passage that illustrates this gentle practice. I will leave space between lines so the ear may catch the cadence. For now, try the tiny prayer. Breathe. Name one small need and one small gratitude. Let the breath carry them into the quiet. Let sleep find its way from there. Shi, I hold the Bible like a quiet promise. The lamp is low. The room breathes low. Tonight, I linger on a sentence that sits like a hinge in the chest. My grace is sufficient. My power is made perfect in weakness. The line is simple. It is also strangely wide. It opens a space rather than closing an argument. I am the one who reads these pages before sleep. That duty has shape and rhythm. It is a small service. I give and receive. Once, that service nearly breaks me for reasons that have nothing to do with theology. It happens in the small hours of a season when the body betrays its usual strength. The voice fails first. It goes thin as paper and then becomes almost nothing. Words that usually come with ease stick like dry leaves in the throat. The body feels foreign. The hands know how to turn a page. But the mouth cannot shape the familiar cadences. Anxiety arrives like a familiar guest. It sets a chair at the foot of the bed and sits very still. There is a task ahead. Nights to read. People to comfort. A rhythm to keep. The mind lists solutions in a hurried way. Rest more. Drink tea. Skip the readings. The list breeds a new kind of worry. How to keep a promise when one cannot produce the usual gift. Prayer begins as a small, honest thing. It is not dramatic. The first words are short and clumsy. A breath in, a small. Inward naming of the fear. A gentle handing over of the failure. The prayer is practical. It asks for steadiness. Not for a sudden miracle that erases every consequence. I sit by the lamp. Hands are quiet on the Bible cover. A short prayer arises. Help me to be honest here. Help me to receive what is needed. The voice does not ask to be made perfect. It asks for help to accept a limit. The prayer is a breath that anchors the body. On the second night, the weakness feels like a kind of teaching. The muscles around the throat are taut with constant attention. The body is a small room in which noise finds purchase. The prayer now is not a demand. It is a listening. It is a request to be shown how to be present, without performing. The verse moves slowly into the mind. My grace is sufficient. My power is made perfect in weakness. The image is plain. It says that weakness is not merely a problem to fix. It is a place where other strength can appear. That thought should be clever and theoretical. Instead, it comes as a soft fact that alters the posture. Prayer shifts the center of things. Instead of trying to force the old pattern, the hands place the habit of reading into a different posture. If the voice cannot carry the words, perhaps there is a quieter way to offer the reading. The practice becomes less about delivery and more about presence. The room holds a hush where words can be smaller and still mean something. There is a particular evening when this truth becomes real in a way that matters. I prepare as usual. I cannot force the throat. The pages are open. The lamp throws the usual pool of light. A short prayer rises, one that is as much a breath as a sentence. Lord, if this weakness is here, let it be enough to reveal a different kind of help. Let me be held even in this lack. The comfort arrives, not as a thunderclap. It comes as a steadying in the shoulders. The jaw eases in a way that feels almost like relief. A warmth spreads across the chest that is not excitement. It is acceptance. The mind, which had been busy rehearsing worst-case scenarios, quiets enough to notice small facts of care. A neighbor offers a note of practical help the next day. A friend sends a quiet message. A small device that amplifies a whisper is found in a drawer. These gifts are ordinary. None of them erase the problem. They do, however, show how help meets a need when pride steps back. The presence of assistance changes what strength looks like. Prayer shapes the response. The practice is humble. It pairs a short petition with a stillness long enough to hear what moves near. The weak place becomes, in a small way, an opening for others to show care. That opening is the shape of grace. It is not an abstract doctrine. It is neighborly, tactile, real. In the quiet nights that follow, the voice remains fragile. Some evenings the words come in a softer register. Sometimes the pages are read aloud by another. Sometimes the reading is a touch of the Bible on the lips and a slow breath that lets the text settle in the room. Each form is different. Each one carries the same small piece. The practice of prayer continues to be simple. Breathe in slow and count to 3. Hold for one soft beat. Breathe out and say the short phrase here is my weakness. Receive your strength. The phrase is not meant to be theological noise. It is an honest trading of burdens. The breath carries the exchange. There is a physical truth in that exchange. Muscles that hold tightness give a little. The jaw unclenches. The shoulders drop. The hands relax around the book. The body takes the cue and lets itself rest while the heart practices trust. The sensation is quiet, like a hand smoothing the hair from a fevered brow. On a morning when sleep has been thin, a new smallness settles. The voice is not restored all at once. It is patchy and tender, yet the nights of anxious rehearsal become fewer. The habit of brief, real prayer rewires the nervous expectation. Instead of bracing for failure, the body learns to move toward care when failure arrives. This season teaches an odd generosity. Weakness makes room for others in a way that strength sometimes does not. People notice. They enter the small gaps with kindness. Practical help arrives in plain forms. A cup placed on a doorstep. A note of affirmation. A friend who volunteers to read for a night. Each act is a stitch sewn into the evening garment. Prayer does not remove the need for action. Careful steps continues. A doctor is consulted. Rest is pursued. Humble remedies are tried. But prayer changes the posture as those actions are taken. It allows the person to move with less frantic energy. The mind stops spinning scenarios and begins to make small, sensible plans. The energy saved by that shift becomes a resource. One evening, months later, the voice returns in a fuller way. The relief is not dramatic. It is a long, small unfastening. The memory of weakness remains. It sits like a soft scar that reminds but does not define. The verse stays as well. It no longer feels like a line to memorize. It is a lived fact that help can be found in the spaces where one cannot perform. I do not present this as proof that prayer always works in the way we hope. The story is not a tidy formula. It is a small witness to what happened in one person's night. Weakness did not become a problem to be concealed. It became a place where help arrived. Prayer was the habit that opened the hand to receive. If a similar weakness visits you, try a short practice. Breathe in slowly. Name the lack without shame. Offer it in a single sentence. Wait for one slow beat of silence. Notice what shifts in the body. If hands relax, allow them to rest. If a thought of help comes, follow it gently. If another person can assist, let them. Strength often arrives wrapped in small, ordinary care. The verse will be read slowly in the next part. For now, keep the image of a simple exchange in the mind. Weakness is not the end of the story. It can be a narrow doorway. Through that doorway, something steadier may enter. The night is full of small openings. Prayer helps us see them. I close the book lightly and rest my hand on the page. The lamp keeps its circle of light. The house breathes. The verse lives like a soft hinge in the room. If the voice falters again, the practice is ready. If sleep leans close, let it come. The weakness of the body does not mean the absence of company. The night keeps watch, and grace keeps its quiet work. I set the Bible on my knee and let the lamp breathe light across the page. The room is still. The night keeps its slow rhythm. Tonight I share a small story of a long walk. It is a slow story. It is a careful one. It tells of hope that grows by steps, not by sudden storms. Some years ago, a season comes that feels like a closed door. Plans shift. People leave rooms. Sleep thins, as if someone has pulled a thread from the blanket. Instead of answering every fear, I gather a small decision to walk. The walk is not heroic. It is practical. It is a way to move the body and the mind together. At dawn, I tie my coat with hands that remember how to slow. The path leaves the town and moves into an older road. Oak trees lean over the way. The air smells of damp earth and small herbs. Each footfall is a slow punctuation. I do not hurry. The idea is to practice a different kind of moving one that lets the heart learn to breathe between steps. I carry a small satchel. In it are a water flask and a thin blanket. There is also a small stack of stones I have kept from other nights. Each stone is soft from being held. Each one bears a tiny name. Names are short and honest. Some are worries about work. Some are old words that throb in the chest. Some are regrets that keep returning like a persistent song. When the stones sit in the palm, they feel like weights. The plan for the day is to place them down one by one. The path moves beside an old orchard. Apples hang like pale lanterns. A breeze moves through the branches and carries a hint of cool, coming to a low wall. I pause. The body asks for the breath to slow. So I do a simple pattern I have learned at the bedside. Inhale slow to the count of 3. Pause for 1 quiet beat. Exhale long to the count of 5. The breath becomes a steady drum. The trees listen, as if they know the tune. Walking teaches a patient kind of trust. There is no forced answer at the end of the road. The trust I am learning is not about fixing what is broken. It is about taking small, honest steps while giving the map to another hand. That giving is an act of surrender. Yes, but it is not empty. Surrender here becomes a deliberate movement of the hands. It is placing the satchel of small fears on a bench and stepping back. At a bend, the road opens to a view of the sea. The tide sits low. A blue bowl under the sky. A stone pier points like a finger. I walk out onto it slowly. The wind presses a coolness across the face. Sound comes soft, the small scrape of gull wings. A distant motor of a fishing boat. I sit at the pier's edge and set out the stones on the weathered boards. They are lined like a quiet inventory, one by one. I hold each name and feel the old tightness. I do not need to change the memory. I simply hand it across. This handing is not dramatic. It is plain. I lift a stone, whisper a short offering in the hush, and let it go into the shallow water. The stone drops and makes a small sound. The ripple widens and fades. With each stone that sinks, the shoulders loosen a fraction. The hands relax. The jaw softens. The act is a kind of liturgy that requires no performance. It is practice. It is a teaching for the body that holds worry with clenched muscles. On the pier, a gull lands for a moment and then moves on. A line of fishermen's ropes lies coiled and patient. The pier holds what is left behind without complaint. It is good to remember that the world has places that simply receive. Not everything needs an answer. Sometimes depth is the shelter. The walk continues along a narrow lane that bends up toward a small chapel on a hill. The chapel is modest. Its door is plain. It faces the sea, as if listening. The garden outside has lavender and low stones. I sit on a bench beneath a crooked yew and open the Bible there. The words I read are not the ones that fix the future. They are the ones that steady the ear. A single verse rests like a small lamp come to me. All who are weary. The phrase settles like a hand across a tired forehead. Prayer in that place is small and unadorned. I name only one thing, not the whole tangle, not the map of every fear, one name at a time. Then I breathe and offer thanks for one simple mercy of the day. A dry pair of socks, a hot cup found at a bus stop, the way the light fell on the bench, the pairing of a need and a thanks becomes a pattern. It is a way to teach the heart that fullness exists even in the middle of lack. The chapel door is unlocked. Inside, there is a long wooden pew and a narrow candle flickering in a small stand. I bow my head, not out of ritual but out of habit of listening. Listening takes time. It asks for the hands to be still. In that stillness, the sense of control loosens. It feels surprising to find power in that loosening. The power that arrives is quiet. It is the strength to go on in small, faithful ways. On the return path, the wind has shifted. The sky holds a thin pinkness. The road seems less empty, passing through a small village. I notice a baker's door left slightly ajar. A warm smell spills out. Someone has left a small loaf cooling on a sill. It sits there as a gift left in trust. No proclamation. No fanfare. The loaf is a practical mercy. It is proof that ordinary kindness continues in daylight. The small journey does not end all difficulties. The job still needs tending. The relationships still require care. The nights still bring their familiar ache. What the walk does is reshape the way those things live in the body. The hands learn a new map. The heart learns to hand over one stone at a time rather than carrying them all until the shoulders break. When I come home that evening, the lamp is waiting in its usual circle. The Bible feels warmer, where the thumb has passed over the pages. There is a quiet in the bones that was not there before the walk. Sleep is not instant, but it comes with a different weight. The breaths lengthen in the dark. The mind has a small memory of the pier and the sinking stones. This is the kind of hope the story holds. Not the promise of trouble erased. Not a magical fix. Instead, a steadying that grows from surrendered control. Strength emerges in the space left when the body stops trying to carry everything alone. Mercy shows up in small, helpful ways: a loaf, a note, a hand offered without negotiation. These are the quiet forms that hope takes. Tonight, as I read this to the room, the invitation is simple. Choose one small thing to hand over. Do not attempt to empty the list. Offer one name. Place it like a pebble in the sea of prayer. Breathe with the rhythm we have practiced. Inhale, hold, exhale. Let the breath carry the small offering to a place of rest. To surrender is not to lose power. It is to trade a brittle, solitary strength for a steady companion. That companion does not control every turn of the road. It walks beside the feet that tire. It holds the hand that loosens. It keeps watch while the body sleeps. When sleep leans in, let it come kindly. If rest is slow today, return to the image of the pier. Remember the stones. Remember the ripple. Remember the bench beneath the yew. Keep that memory like a small lamp in the pocket. In the morning, tend the work you must do. Move again on the path. Take another small step. Each step holds a quiet hope. I close the Bible now for a while. My thumb rests on the page as if sealing a small promise. The lamp keeps its soft pool. The room breathes. If your night feels heavy, reach for one pebble and let it go. Trust that strength often arrives, not as a flood, but as a companion who steadies the next step. When the next part comes, I will read a passage that gathers the shape of this walk into a short set of words. For now, place your hand on your chest if that comforts you. Feel the rise and fall of breath. Let surrender be the small practice that opens the way for hope. The night can keep watch while mercy does its gentle work. I set the Bible on my knee and let the lamp make a soft pool of light. The room breathes with a slow, even hush. My voice moves in small, patient steps. Tonight I rest on one line that has kept many nights calm. It is the line about walking through the darkest valley. It is the line that tells of being accompanied. The image is plain and strong. It gives a kind of assurance that matters when the world grows sharp. The valley is not an abstract thing. It is a shape of trouble. It may be illness. It may be loss. It may be a long season of fear. It feels like a low place. Light seems farther off. The mind imagines danger there. The body tenses as if to shield the heart. The ancient words name that place, so we might find our footing inside it. The promise knot at the center is simple. Even in the valley, company is near. The promise does not pretend the valley will not be dark. It does not erase hurt. It places a steady presence beside the feet that must walk through. That presence is not a distant idea. It is a neighbor at the road. It is a hand on the shoulder. It is a staff laid across the back to steady a step. Rod and staff are old images. Think of a shepherd on a slow path. The staff guides and keeps a path straight. The rod protects and moves danger aside. Together they are tools, not symbols of force. They are practical things that meet the small realities of walking. They lean into the feet and make a route safer. They show that guidance and protection can be gentle and close. I remember a close friend who found that promise in an unexpected season. The friend's life unspooled quickly. A job ended. A marriage frayed. Then illness arrived. The kinds of bills and phone calls that crowd the day pressed in. Nights were the hardest. Darkness tended to amplify every fear. The friend slept in pieces and woke with the old rehearsals, already ready to run. One late evening, a lamp sits on the bedside, and the Bible is open to the familiar line. The friend reads it slowly, in a voice that is not steady at first. The words become a shape to hold. They become an invitation to breathe. Instead of bargaining for an immediate fix, the first practice is gentle, to repeat the line with the breath. A short in-breath, a quiet out-breath. The verse moves with the lungs. The body learns to slow. This friend did not find that night suddenly easy. The valley was still real. Appointments still came. The phone still rang with difficult news. What changed was the posture. The friend stopped bracing alone. The practice was small and steady. When fear rose, a hand reached for the page. When sleep fled, the lips formed the line like a small lullaby. The line did not remove pain. It made room for comfort. I watched something that felt like a small miracle. Not a spectacular deliverance. A slow rearrangement. The shoulders stop holding everything. The chest yields a little. People who visited noticed a different tone. The friend began to accept help, without the old reticence. Neighbors brought a pot of soup. A cousin offered a few hours of company. Things that had been impossible to receive when every night was spent bracing became possible in the rhythm of the reading. The staff of the shepherd became a practical image in daily life. My friend pictured the staff under the arm when decisions were hard. It felt like a hand steadying the elbow at a cliff path. The rod became the idea that someone would move dangers aside. not by removing every problem, but by making the way safer to walk. In this imagination, help became a series of small acts rather than a single dramatic fix. It is easier to accept a small gift than to ask for a miracle. There is a practice to try if the valley feels closer tonight. Close the eyes, if that is safe. Rest both hands on the belly. Breathe in slow and count softly to 3. Hold for a quiet beat. Breathe out long to the count of 5. Picture a narrow path before you. Imagine a steady companion walking beside you, not shouting instructions, but keeping a hand near the back of your shoulder. Picture a staff resting across a hip, a plain tool that shifts as the ground changes. Let that image be enough for one breath. On the out-breath, say the line in your mind, I am not alone. Let it be a soft affirmation rather than an argument. Repeat this pattern 3 times. The body remembers the pattern. The mind begins to trust the small movement. It matters less whether the valley changes. It matters more that the feet have company. My friend taught me another small thing. When the night feels like a tunnel, the practice is to place one hand on the chest and one hand on the lap. Feel the warmth where the heart rests. Imagine the staff resting there. Not heavy, but steady. Give one small worry to that image. Name it in one short phrase. Then breathe and picture handing it across. The body follows the imagination. The shoulders lower. The jaw softens. The throat unclenches. The weight shifts. Not by force, but by exchange. The assurance of the shepherd is not a call to passive waiting. It is an invitation to a kind of partnership. My friend kept up the ordinary tasks, while also opening to the presence that promised to walk beside. Resume writing continued. Medical appointments were kept. Friends who offered help were welcomed. The practice of prayer and reading became a companion to practical work, not a substitute for it. This kind of faith is plain work paired with a soft acceptance of help. There was a night when the valley felt deepest. A hospital lamp hummed. Monitors breathed in small rhythms. My friend closed the eyes and touched the open Bible. The verse settled like a soft hand across a fevered brow. The presence described by the psalm did not remove the fear, but it stood beside it. The room felt less like a battlefield and more like a place where watchfulness could happen. That watchfulness is a kind of quiet mercy. Hope in that season did not arrive as an explosion. It came as a sequence of small lights, a message of encouragement, a neighbor's loaf, a clear answer on a needed form. The mind that had been used to expecting only worst-case scenarios learned, slowly, to notice small mercies. These small things do not minimize suffering. They turn suffering into a path that can be borne. The rod and staff do not carry the traveler. They make the walking possible. When the valleys come, fear will have reasons. That is understandable. The promise in the psalm is not an instant override of human caution. It is a companion for the caution. I have seen how this changes the body. When a hand reaches for the Bible, the breath lengthens. When a verse is allowed to be a small rhythm instead of a task to prove, the jaw eases. When help is accepted, the load becomes shared. The body sleeps more often, the mind rests more readily. If it helps, make a small ritual tonight. Place the Bible where hands can find it without searching. Leave the lamp at a low glow. Breathe in and imagine the staff along the path you must walk. Breathe out and place a single worry into the image of that staff. Do not try to give everything at once. Begin with one small pebble. Let the body notice the exchange. Repeat as needed. The practice trains the hands and the heart to receive. My friend's hope became a kind of invitation for others. People who had once stood at a distance found it easier to come near. They did not have to fix everything. They only had to keep a presence. This is the gentle logic of the psalm. Company and care are offered in practical measures. The offer is wide enough for our small imperfections. I keep the page steady under my thumb. The lamp makes its calm circle. The house breathes a slow breath. Tonight, the line settles in the chest like a warm stone. Not heavy, not burdening. A small anchor. I will read the verse aloud in the next part. I will let each word have room. I will let the rhythm match the lungs. For now, hold the image of the staff and the hand beside your shoulder. Let that image be the first place your breath rests. When sleep leans close, allow the rest. Hand one pebble to the staff and let the ripple quiet the waters. The valley remains a place that will be traversed at times. The promise keeps company there. The rod and staff steady the step and comfort the heart. Rest in that simple assurance for the night. I stay with the lamp and the book until sleep takes the room. When you are ready, let the eyes close and let the promise walk with you. I set the Bible in my lap and let the lamp make its steady circle of light. The room breathes slow. My voice drops to the same careful level it has when the house grows quiet. Tonight I hold a short thought. Close community matters. It matters not as a lofty word, but as a practical way to carry what is heavy. I read these pages for you each night. That habit teaches me small truths. One of them is this. Some burdens are meant to be placed not on a lone shoulder, but into a shared hand. The idea is plain. It is also gentle. It changes the way rest finds us. Think of a basket. It is not large or fancy. It is woven from simple reeds. A single hand can hold it for a little while, but when the basket is carried by many hands, it becomes steady across a long road. The weight is the same. The strain is not. A short walk becomes possible. The hands take turns. The load moves forward without crushing one pair of palms. Once, in a season that felt like too much, a small community formed without any ceremony. A neighbor started leaving a heating pad at the front step when the nights grew cold. Someone else brought a cup of soup when decisions swelled like a high tide. A person I had hardly known offered to keep an eye on the mail. The acts were hardly dramatic. They were practical. They met needs that otherwise ate into sleep. I learned from that time that sharing is practical rather than sentimental. The point is not to be spared difficulty, but to be spared the loneliness of it. A worried night becomes different when there is a memory of minds that have kept watch before. Remembering that others are ready to help alters how the body prepares for sleep. The jaw unclenches by a fraction. The shoulders drop by a breath. Small physical shifts follow a small change in trust. Community is not only about the big rescues, it is about the quiet, repeated help that accumulates. someone bringing a loaf, a neighbor's phone call that asks only how you are, a friend offering a quiet hour to sit and listen. These are not solutions that erase the need. They are ways of meeting a need, so the weight is carried between people instead of on one lone heart. There is a practice I learned that is simple enough to do from bed. Picture a sturdy basket again. Hold one small burden in your mind. Give it a name. 2 or 3 words are enough. Maybe it is a bill that worries. Maybe it is a single difficult memory. Maybe it is a tiredness that will not go away. Say the name once to yourself. Then, in imagination, lift the burden and place it into the basket. Now picture hands reaching in from different directions. Some are familiar. Some are faces you do not know well yet. Each hand takes a turn steadying the basket. You do not have to carry the load alone. Feel how the arms relax a fraction when the first hand takes pressure. Breathe in slowly. On the out-breath, imagine the basket being shifted, balanced, and passed along. With each pass, notice a small easing. This is not a trick to pretend the burden is gone. The burden remains real. But the reality of many hands changes the experience. A heart that has been bracing can let go a little. Sleep comes more easily when the body no longer has to pretend it can do all the lifting by itself. Community also gives room for mistakes. People who care will not ask for perfection. They will accept clumsy steps and small failings. And they will keep company anyway. That acceptance is costly and gentle. It tends toward patience. It teaches us that being held does not depend on being tidy or resolute. It depends on presence. There is another practical side to sharing burdens. It multiplies wisdom. When one person is close to a difficulty, the view can be narrow. The second person often sees what the first cannot. A neighbor offers a practical tip. Someone else remembers a phone number or a form. A third person brings a perspective that steadies a frightened imagination. The weight remains, but its edges shift when more eyes look at it. The mind learns safer routes. At teams, the community will do the heavy lifting by offering scaffolding. Simple help becomes scaffolding a meal. A ride, a hand to hold. These small things keep a life from tipping into crisis. They create breathing space. In that space, practical decisions are made more clearly. Sleep becomes a place where the body can repair, because the day's urgent needs have a few helpers attending to them. I have felt reluctance in myself when accepting help. It is a human thing to believe that asking makes one smaller. In those moments, the habit is to make a small experiment. Ask for one small thing. Not everything. Just one short request. Perhaps a single errand. A phone call. Or a 5-minute conversation that simply listens. See how it lands. Often the request is met with a kindness that does not demand anything else in return. The act of asking breaks a wall gently. The body notices the lift. Community also teaches practical mercy. Mercy is not a broad abstract. It shows up as a neighbor leaving a tray of food. A friend staying late in the hospital room. A stranger giving directions. Mercy is action. It is the movement of hands toward a need. The small mercies accumulate. They change the shape of a week and the shape of a night. If you wonder how to begin, There are modest steps that will not require great bravery. Make a short list of 3 names of people who have offered kindness in the past. Send one of them a brief note or a small voice message. Tell them one simple way they could help this week. Or, if it feels safer, ask for prayer for a single named thing. Do this without a grand explanation. The smallness of the ask makes it easier for both giver and receiver. Help arrives as a small rhythm rather than a dramatic act. There is also a practice for those who can give. Sometimes comfort is silence shared. Sometimes comfort is a practical visit with a cup of tea. The gift of listening without trying to fix is a form of help that weighs less than advice and more than pity. Offer a small presence. Stay for 5 minutes longer than you had planned. Bring nothing but your hand and a readiness to be steady. These are the ways burdens are actually shared. The community may be local, a neighbor, a church group, a close friend, or it may be wider and more surprising. Sometimes help arrives from a person who was unknown before a small crisis. The world is threaded with unexpected kindness. The practice is to accept it when offered. Acceptance does not mean losing dignity. It is a humble recognition that no one is meant to carry everything alone. When worry returns at night, the memory of these small acts will be a useful balm. Before sleep, name one small need and picture it placed in the shared basket. Imagine hands passing it along. Breathe slowly and let the body follow the image. Do this a few times. The practice shifts more than mood. It trains the muscles around the heart to let go. There is also a way of bearing witness that comforts the giver. When help arrives and eases a night, send a note of thanks. A short word of appreciation is not required, but it reinforces the bond between people. It lets the helper know their small act mattered. Community needs encouragement to continue. Kindness that is noticed tends to be repeated. Do not wait for dramatic proof that help will always come. Practice the small exchanges before they are urgent. Offer a cup of coffee, a chorus line of a brief phone call, a casserole left at a door. These ordinary payments into the common life keep a community fresh. They practice the habit of bearing one another's burdens before the load becomes too great. Now breathe with me. Inhale slowly. Hold for a gentle beat. On the out-breath, imagine one small worry leaving your hands and settling into a shared basket. Picture a friendly hand taking hold of the basket's handle. Feel a slight easing in the neck and shoulders. Repeat once or twice. Let the image sink down into the bones. This work of shared bearing does not promise that every night will be easy. It promises something quieter and steadier. It promises that when the night feels long, there is likely to be a hand nearby. It promises that hurts may be tended, and that practical help will come in ways large and small. It offers mercy in the form of neighborly actions, steady companionship, and simple, repeated kindness. I will read a passage about bearing burdens in the next part. I will read it slowly, leaving room between the lines so the ear can catch the cadence. For now, let the thought of the basket and the many hands be a small comfort. Keep one worry as a pebble in your mind. Place it in the shared basket. Breathe. Let the hands steady it. Stay here a moment longer if you like. Feel the lamp's glow. Notice the rise and fall of breath one more time. The household keeps its slow watch. Community is near, even when it seems distant. Sleep will come with a gentler weight when burdens are shared. I will stay beside the lamp until the next part begins. The lamp is small. The room is quiet. The Bible rests open on my knee. My voice keeps to a low pace. Tonight I hold a single line with care. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. That phrase is not an order to perform. It is an invitation to an interior posture. Think of the heart as a little room with a door. Worry knocks. Fear presses. Letting peace rule means setting a guard at the door. The guard is not harsh. It is steady. It notices what comes and decides what may stay. I have learned this not only from the page. I learn it from people. Community shows what the line means in real life. A group of ordinary hands taught me how peace can be a guard. The story is small. It is the sort of thing that happens without fanfare. A few years back, a winter brought a night that would not be easy. Someone close to me is ill. The days pull long. The mind rehearses all the ways things could fail. Sleep thins into a string of small wakings. The jaw stays clenched until morning. Practical needs crowd the hours. The lists grow heavy. Neighbors begin to help in modest ways. One leaves a bowl of stew on the step. Another drops by with extra blankets. A church member offers to come sit for an hour so the house need not be watched alone. The acts are nothing like a rescue mission. They are simple adjustments. They keep the ordinary machine of life moving. The help is practical, and it is steady. One evening, the house feels narrower than it is. The lamp throws a soft circle on the table. I open the Bible and find the verse about letting peace rule. I read it slowly. I do not read to persuade. I read as a person who needs a direction to look. A few friends are there that night. We do not plan anything formal. We sit in the same room. One person folds a blanket. Another hums a quiet tune under their breath. Someone makes tea. The air tastes faintly of herbs, and the warmed bread someone left behind. No one speaks loud. The mood is like that of a small harbor, people keeping watch. I invite them, gently, into a short practice. We breathe together. No long prayers. No areas of doctrine. Just an inhale and an exhale. On the in-breath, we take in a short phrase, peace. On the out-breath, we let go of a small worry. One by one, we name a single thing we carry. The names are small and honest. A single bill. A list of medicines. The fear that the phone might ring at dawn. The room changes. The presence of others makes the act easier, where I might have tried to muscle peace into being alone. The shared rhythm does the work. The breath becomes a metronome. The fingers on a mug need their warmth. The shoulders that had been braced loosen. Peace begins to rule, not as a hard command, but as a gentle influence. There is a practical side to this ruling of peace. When fear arrives later in the night, it finds a pattern already in place. The mind remembers the breath. The hands remember how they eased. The friend's small acts still echo the soup. The blankets, the offers to sit, those memories act like small supports. They make it easier to choose the guard at the door. Peace, as a ruler, is not about suppressing thought. It is about ordering the space where thinking happens. Imagine the mind as a courtyard. Rushing thoughts are leaves in a wind. If nothing stands in the courtyard, the leaves scatter and pile. A guard or a wall helps the wind move through more gently. Peace arranges the flow. It does not block the weather. It keeps the pathways clear. There is another thing community teaches. They are not there only to hand over burdens. They teach me to let the peace rule at practical moments. A friend will remind me, softly, to pause. When a worry becomes loud, breathe first. Take one step. Ask for help. The reminder is small. It is the kind of care that guards a mind from spiraling. It forms a habit. And habits are patient teachers. Practices grow from that night. When worry starts, I place a hand on my chest. I breathe. I say the phrase, quietly inside, let the peace of Christ rule. I picture a gentle gate, closing not with force, but with order. The thought is not magic. It is a small training of the nervous system. The breath lengthens. The pulse slows. The mind has fewer resources to spin on every dark corner. One winter morning, weeks after that evening, a late bill arrives. The old panic stirs. The chest tightens. The instinct is to run through all the worst ends, but the memory of the room and the steady breath is nearer. I stop. I place the bill on the table. I take one measured breath. I text a neighbor, a short note asking for advice. Then I call a friend. The crisis does not vanish. The panic does not melt away. But the heart steadies enough to make sensible choices. That steadiness is the peace ruling. Colossians does not promise that peace removes trouble. It promises that peace can have authority inside. That authority shapes response. It keeps the heart from being occupied by panic. It keeps the mind from rehearsing catastrophe in endless loops. It does this in practical ways, calmer decisions, clairer conversation, steadier sleep. Community helps stitch the practice into life. When others keep watch, it becomes normal to hand things over. A box of paperwork is easier to sort when another person sits and sorts with you. A night is easier to sleep through when a friend sits in the next room. The small, practical acts make the space for peace to be the ruling posture. There is another quiet lesson. Letting peace rule invites a kind of forgiveness toward the self. When things are hard, the inner voice can be cruel. It says, this should have been handled better. It says you should have been stronger. Community shows a different truth. People who share burdens rarely tally faults. They come with soup, with hands, with simple company. Their presence communicates that failure is not the final measure. That message guards the mind like a sentry who refuses to read aloud every self-criticism. On many nights now, before sleep, I read the lines slowly. I let the words fall into the room with space between them. I place my hand on the Bible and then on my chest. I breathe. If a worry presses, I name it once, quietly. Then I imagine it placed into the shared basket we have spoken of before. I picture hands taking that basket. Sometimes those hands belong to friends. Sometimes they belong to a wider kindness I cannot see. Either way, the act changes how the mind holds the worry. Practice builds trust. The first times the mind suspects the practice will fail, that suspicion is allowed. It is part of the mind's job to be cautious, but repeated small experiences of being helped reshape the expectation. The heart learns that it can be less clever and more taught. Peace becomes an inner companion, not a rare prize. There are nights when community cannot be physically near. People are far away. The phone is silent. The lamp seems too small. In those hours, I remember the shape of the small room with friends. I recall the sound of a kettle, the heft of a blanket, the way someone's hand rested on a Bible page. Those memories act as placeholders. They keep the guard at the door until help can arrive again. Letting the peace rule is not a one-time decision. It is a habit. It is trained by small acts, breath, naming a single worry, offering it, accepting a simple help, remembering a meal left on the step. Each act strengthens the guard. Each act teaches the mind that calm is possible. If you are with me now, place a hand on your chest if it comforts you. Breathe slowly. On the in-breath, think the word peace. On the out-breath, ease one small worry. If it helps, picture hands, many hands lifting the burden into a shared basket. Notice how the shoulders shift. Notice how the jaw loosens. Let the feeling sit a moment. I will read the verse aloud in the next part. I will read it slowly. With space between the words, I will let the cadence be the same as the breath. For now, hold the small memory of that evening of soup, of blankets, of watchful friends. Let the image soften the night. Let the peace rule in this small place. The guard keeps its gentle watch. The mind finds a way to rest. The lamp is low. The Bible rests where a thumb keeps the page open. I keep my voice small. Tonight, I lead a short prayer. The prayer is simple. It asks for comfort, for forgiveness, and for the strength to place burdens where they belong. I begin by reading the line again. Slowly, let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. I let the phrase hang in the air. It is like a small bell. The sound is soft. The breath follows the cadence. Breathe with me. Inhale slowly. Fill the lungs with the night air. Hold for a gentle beat. Exhale long and steady. Let the out-breath take some tension with it. Repeat this pattern twice more. Each cycle slows the fingers, the jaw, the shoulders. The body answers to the rhythm. Now a short prayer, said with a quiet heart. Lord, we come to the night with tired hands. Comfort arrives like a warm cloth. Let that warmth be here now. Ease the places that ache. Soften the tightness around the jaw. Reach into the long hours and touch the small fears that live there. Let rest be a room that opens. Forgiveness is asked in a single breath. There are things left undone. There are words that cut and will not drop. There are mistakes remembered like sharp stones. Grant a gentle clearing. Help us to name what needs release. Give courage to let go of old blame. Help the heart forgive others in small steps. Help the heart forgive itself. For mercy is a right the tired deserve. Give strength as well. Not the loud strength that argues and demands. Give the quiet strength of hands that can loosen a grip. Teach the muscles of the chest to unfurl. Teach the mind to place one burden at a time into another's care. Show how to hand a single worry across. Make the trade simple, one small fear, one trusting breath, one brief handing over. For comfort, a picture comes easily. Imagine a lamp that will not go out. It shines for as long as it takes. Let that lamp be near the mind. Let its glow rest on the places that ache. If sleep does not come quickly, let the light be a steady companion. If dreams are heavy, place a soft cover over them. Let warmth be practical, a blanket, a neighbor's kindness, a short message that says you are seen, for forgiveness. I guide gently. See the fault without making it larger. Name it in a soft voice inside the head. Then picture placing it on a small table. Cover it with a cloth of mercy. Do not demand that the memory vanish. Let it be received and sheltered. The act of handing over is a literal relief. The shoulders drop a fraction when the thing is not clutched so tightly. For strength to place burdens. Use this small image. Hold a pebble in the hand of the mind. The pebble is one worry. Walk a few steps in the imagination to a bench that sits near the water. Lay the pebble down. Watch the current. Take it. Or watch another hand. Lift it and hold it steady. The motion is not symbolic alone. The body mirrors it. Muscles that had been rigid learn to relax. The mind repeats the pattern until the action becomes a habit. Ask also for the grace to accept help. Pride guards with clenched fingers. Pride says, I must carry this alone. Teach the hands to loosen. Teach the heart to welcome aid without measuring weakness. Make the grace practical. Let a neighbor's dish be accepted. Let a friend's short phone call be enough. Let simple acts of kindness be recognized as careful rescue. Ask for a gentleness toward others when sleep comes and the day is gone. Memories of sharp words sometimes return. Soften the memory. Give room to apologies that have not yet been spoken, and to words that cannot be taken back. Let mercy be the first language in which the night speaks. When forgiveness is asked of another, give the courage to try. When forgiveness is offered, do not hoard it. I pray for the quiet household around us. Where there is illness, let tenderness find its way. Where there is loss, let small consolations arrive in sequence, an unexpected call, a small meal, a note left by the door. Where there is fear of the future, give a breath long enough to imagine a next right step. Give wisdom to decide what to do in the morning, and peace to sleep through the in-between. Prayer also asks for the healing of small things that wear thin, a broken evening routine, a knot in friendship, a habit that steals sleep. Show the slow repair. Let mending happen in plain measures, a phone call returned, a note of thanks, a willingness to spend 5 minutes in honest speech. Small mending is often the work that prepares the heart for true rest. If there is guilt, the prayer addresses it without shame. Guilt can be heavy and clinging. Name it. Offer it up. Ask for a path of repair, small and steady. Let restitution be practical where needed. Let the self be taught gentleness when action is not possible tonight. The night itself can be a teacher. Its darkness asks for tender work tomorrow. For now, allow a small easing. Ask for clarity of mind in the morning. The night can do more than rest the body. It can arrange the mind to see next steps more clearly. Pray for morning light that brings one small next thing into view. Give the patience to do one task at a time. Ask for helpers to appear in ways that are practical and not theatrical. Now a short silence. Hold one need in the mind. Gentle and particular. A single name will do. A single worry. Not the whole list. Breathe in. On the out-breath place, the need where it can be kept into the hands beside you. Into the lamp's steady light. Into the small basket of shared care. Let the image be enough. Hear again the words read slowly. Let the cadence sync with the breath. Let the phrase shape the night. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. Imagine that peace as a mild guard at the door of sleep. It does not shut out necessary attention. It decides what may linger and what should be set aside for morning. Close, now with a short offering of thanks. Give thanks for one small thing from today. A cup that warmed a hand. A small kindness that did not require return. A short breath that was a little deeper. Let the act of gratitude fold the day into a softer shape. The mind will remember the warmth more readily than the sharpness. End the prayer with a short affirmation. We are held. We are not alone in the night. We are permitted to hand things over and to be lightened by small acts. Keep the voice soft as it finishes. Allow the words to be a place to lay down the day. A final breath together. Inhale slow. Hold for a quiet beat. Exhale and let the shoulders soften. Rest the hand if it comforts you on the breastbone. Feel the rise and fall there. The small heat is a sign that life continues. Allow that sign to be enough for now. If sleep leans in, welcome it. If wakefulness remains, use the image of the bench, the pebble, the lamp. Return to the practice of handing over one small thing at a time. Repeat the breath. Repeat the phrase, peace, and let go. Let the night be a caretaker. Let the prayers made here be simple pathways, not burdensome tasks. I fold the prayer into the room like a soft cloth. The Bible rests closed now. Though the words inside continue their work, the lamp keeps its circle. The house breathes slow. I will be here again to read the next part. For now, let comfort come. Let forgiveness begin its slow mending. Let the strength to place one thing at a time be a new habit. Amen. I sit with the Bible open and the lamp close by. The room is quiet. My voice is low and steady. I have read many evenings. Tonight I guide a gentle reflection. I invite you to focus on one thing, one small place where you want God to move. Settle where you are. Let the body find a comfortable shape. If a hand rests on the chest, keep it there. Feel the steady rise and fall. Breathe with me. Inhale slow. Hold for a soft moment. Exhale longer. Let the breath become a steady metronome. I ask you now to choose one aspect of life. Not everything at once. One thing. It may be a relationship. It may be a fear. It may be weariness. A decision. A health concern. A hope that feels fragile. Pick the single item that feels loudest tonight. Give it a name in your mind. One simple word will do. Hold that name gently. Do not press it. Look at it as if it were a small object in your hand. Turn it over in your imagination. Notice its weight. Notice its texture. Notice where it presses in the body. Does it sit at the shoulders, at the throat, behind the eyes? Let the awareness be quiet and kind. Now imagine a small room inside you. It is warm and plain. A single window faces east. A wooden table sits beneath it. On the table there is a shallow bowl of water. The room is not crowded. It is a place where things can be set down. See the item you carry placed on the table. Do not force it. Allow it to rest there with calm. I place my hand on the Bible. The book is a simple companion. I read aloud so that words can be a steady thread. I do not read now. I keep the book close, because reading will come in the next part. This moment is for a quiet exchange. Imagine a lamp above the table. It is not bright. Its light is warm and sure. When the item sits on the table, the lamp draws a small circle of light around it. The light does not make the thing disappear. It simply clarifies the edges. Let that gentle light show the shape of what you named. Bring to mind a simple gesture of handing. In the room, across from the table, a pair of hands appears. They are steady. They are patient. They do not demand proof. They do not hurry. See those hands reach for the object on the table. The hands accept it as it is. The exchange is calm. I guide you to offer the item. Take a slow breath. On the out-breath, imagine lifting the burden or worry off the table. Place it into the waiting hands. Feel the slight change in the shoulders. Notice the face. There is a subtle easing. The breath lengthens. Allow the release to be small. You give only that one thing. You do not have to empty the list. If fear says that handing over is risky, acknowledge it. Do not argue. Say inside, I will try this small thing. Then do the gesture again. The practice is not about perfection. It is about a new muscle that learns to relax. Now listen. Receive. After the hands accept the item, imagine them returning a single sign. It may be a soft light. It may be a warm cloth. It may be a tiny sprout placed on the table beside the thing. That sign is not a solution. It is a presence. It tells you that the offering has been held. Let that sign be enough for a few breaths. Sit with the image for a moment. Notice what changes. Maybe the jaw softens. Maybe the belly releases. Maybe thoughts slow. These small shifts do not mean everything is fixed. They mean the body has room to rest. Rest is a practical condition for seeing clearly. If a memory or a sharp thought intrudes, Bring it into the room gently. Place it beside the original item. Name it briefly. Then hand that too across if it feels right. You may choose to hand over only the first thing. That is fine. The work is gradual. One small exchange at a time makes a new pattern. I give a short breathing pattern to hold the practice. Breathe in to the count of 3. Pause one soft beat. Breathe out to the count of 6. Let the exhale be long enough to carry a small release. Repeat this 3 times. On each out-breath, imagine the item slipping across the table into the waiting hands. Feel the shoulders drop a fraction. Sometimes the gift you receive back is not dramatic. It is a quiet warmth around the chest. It is a memory of someone's kindness. It is a small practical idea that could be used tomorrow. Accept whatever arrives. Do not force a grand sign. Small things steady ordinary life. If doubts return, notice how they appear. They are often loud at night. They want to keep control. Let them have a moment. Then return your attention to the room and the lamp. Return to the table. Keep the offering small. The work of trust grows in tiny repetitions. I encourage you to imagine a marker for this exchange. It may be a knot on a string. It may be a smooth pebble. Choose a small token and lay it by the bowl of water. This token is a reminder. When the mind replays the worry later, touch the token. Let the touch remind the body of the small handing over you practiced. If the aspect you chose is a person, imagine placing an image of them in the room, not a rehearsal of blame or guilt, just their face softly present. Offer them gently into the hands that wait. That act does not replace necessary conversation. It simply changes how the heart carries the concern. If the aspect is a decision, imagine the table as a place for weighing one small option. Place the choice there. Let the waiting hands help hold it. The help you imagine will not choose for you. It will steady the hands that must act. The breath will be steadier when you move. If the aspect is health or fear, picture the bowl of water as a soft cooling place. Dip your fingers into the water. Let the coolness calm a hot worry. Then place that coolness over the thing you name. Water does not fix everything, but it soothes. Soothing makes room for practical steps tomorrow. I invite you now to listen for a quiet answer, not a loud pronouncement. A single small sense that might come. It could be the memory of a short scripture phrase. It could be a thought of one small next step. It could be the image of a neighbor who might help. If nothing comes, that is fine. Silence can be an answer too. It means the work may need time. Hold the thought of time kindly. God's movement is often slow in human terms. The practice of bringing one small thing into a safe place creates a pathway. Over nights, the body remembers the path. The mind learns that handing over is possible. Help often arrives in simple sequences. A neighbor's kindness, a phone call, a step that becomes clearer in daylight. Now make a soft vow, if it helps. Noda the man, a small promise to yourself. I will hand over one small thing tonight. I will breathe and rest. I will try again tomorrow. A vow like this is a gentle training. It asks for patience. It asks for the same small courage used to place a pebble in a pocket. Keep the lamp in mind as a habit. Before sleep, Return to the small room. Place one thing on the table. Offer it. Receive the sign. Touch the token. Breathe. Over time, this simple act will live in the body. It will be a repair in quiet pieces. If sleep leans close now, allow it. Let the room you made hold the offering. Let the waiting hands keep it there for safekeeping. The night can be a partner in this work. While the body rests, the mind will continue to learn the pattern you began. If wakefulness remains, stay gentle. Repeat the breathing. Repeat the offering with the same calm. Do not rush to finish. Let the practice be the evening's shape. Keep the tone slow and kind. Let no hurry press you to greater feats. I will read a short passage in the next part. I will read it slowly and plainly. The passage will be a companion for this quiet work. For now, keep the image of the small room and the waiting hands. Keep the lamp's circle of light. Keep the token. One last breath with me. Inhale slow. Hold for a soft beat. Exhale long, and imagine placing the chosen thing into the steady hands. Feel the shoulders ease. Let the jaw soften. Let the breath return to its slow rhythm. I close this reflection with a simple word of blessing. May the small work you began tonight rest in a kind keeping. May the practice be gentle on the body. May it grow into a quiet habit that meets the night with steadier hands. When you are ready, let the eyes fall closed without strain. Trust the room you made to hold what you offered. I will be here in the next part with slow reading. The Bible will speak in soft cadence. The lamp will keep its warm pool. Rest when you are ready. I close the book with a slow hand. The lamp keeps its pool of light. My voice stays low. I have been with you a while. The night has bent toward quiet. The house breathes in small, even beats. I do not rush now. This last part is a simple sending. It is a soft lowering of the curtain. The day has been set down. The heart has been given small tasks to practice. Tonight, I offer a blessing to shape the hours ahead. Settle your body first. Let the shoulders fall. Let the face relax. Place a hand where it rests easily. Feel the brief heat there. Let it be a small proof that life continues. Notice each breath as it arrives and leaves. Breathe as you did before. Inhale slow. Pause. Exhale longer. Let the rhythm be a gentle metronome. Think of the lamp circle. Imagine it narrowing to a soft point near the heart. Keep that image beside you. Imagine the Bible at your side, not as an argument, but as a companion that has been present this evening. The pages are still warm from the reading. That warmth is a small witness to steady care. I speak a short prayer now. It is plain and spare. If you prefer silence, keep it. Let the words be a cadence to rest by. Not a man, God of gentleness. Be near in this quiet hour. Let your peace move like a slow tide through every small space. Find the places that ache. Do not take them away by force. Soften them. Hold them. Make room for rest. May mercy come like a blanket. Not heavy but warm. May it cover worry without smothering hope. Let the hands that have carried much lay down their load a little. Show how to hand one small thing at a time into another's care. Teach the body to relax by degrees. Give the mind a pattern to follow. I ask for forgiveness to come easy where it is needed. Help to name the small, sharp things. Help to set them down without rehearsing them into the night. Let apologies that must be said wait for morning with gentleness. Let self-forgiveness enter like a soft rain. It does not excuse what went wrong. It gives space to mend. Bring comfort to the grieving places. Let tears that need to fall find an honest softness. If wakefulness brings the old heavy images, let them sit in a calm room with a quiet light. Let the heart know it is allowed to be tender. Comfort can be small. It can be a remembered hand. It can be a neighbor's care. It can be the steady presence that does not demand answers tonight. For those who carry fear about tomorrow, give one clear next step for morning. Do not ask the mind to solve everything in the dark. Give a small, sensible task that the hands can do at daylight. The mind will rest, better knowing the first right motion is known. If no clarity comes, give patience to wait. The night can do its slow work, while the plans remain gentle. For the weary body, grant sleep that is restorative. Let muscles unclench. Let the jaw loosen. Allow the breath to become deeper and more even. Permit dreams to be less sharp. Let the hours be a steady mending. If waking comes in the night, make the return to rest easier. Give a remembered sentence, a remembered image, a remembered hand to call the body back. Bless the small kindnesses that have been given this day. Bless the neighbor's cup, the anonymous loaf, the message that arrived when it was needed. These little things are not trifles. They are the invisible cords that tie a life to its people. Multiply them in ways that make the dark gentler. Protect those who are alone tonight. Let them sense company, not as noise, but as presence. Let prayers of others form a soft ring around them. Where grief presses hardest, let a small noticing occur. Let someone think of them tomorrow. Let a call, a note, a visit be a practical echo of the watching that started this hour. Remember the children, the old, the sick, and the anxious. Keep them safe. Grant calm in their rooms. Soften questions that have no quick answers. Let rest be a gift to their bodies and their hearts. For those who keep watch for others, give a power that is quiet and steady. Reward fatigue with a depth of peace that rests the hands. I ask that hope find its small roots in the morning. Hope need not show itself as certainty. It can be a single candle left in a window, a reason to rise. Let a small expectation take hold a neighbor's help, a small progress, a meeting that opens a door a little wider. Teach the mind to hold the future lightly enough to plan and firmly enough to move. If there is anger or sharp regret, do not make it louder tonight. Let it be met with a patience that does not excuse harm, but that removes its power to consume. Give a pathway for small acts of repair when the day begins. If action is needed, let the first reasonable step be visible tomorrow. For tonight, grant a quiet where wrath cannot rehearse itself into a larger wound. I speak a blessing for bodies that ache, for tired muscles and joints, for heads that throb, for lungs that catch. Bring ease. Let sleep come as a balm. May morning pain be lessened in increments. Not a miracle that erases, but steady relief. Let treatments help. Let caretakers appear. Let rest be practical and real. Bless the places of decision. For those weighing choices, give a clear light for one small choice tomorrow. Do not ask the mind to decide every outcome tonight. Give the courage to take the first sensible step. Make wisdom appear in small measures. One phone call. One short note. A tasting of courage. As I close tonight, I place a hand over the book. The cover is familiar. It holds words that have guided many nights. I offer this simple charge. Keep this habit of small things, the practice of one breath, one named worry, one offered pebble, one grateful thought. These build an inner house where peace can live. I will speak a short final sending now. Hear it as a tender permission. It is spoken slowly. Let each part land like a breath. May God's peace rest over you tonight. Let it fall like a soft veil. May it cover restlessly, thinking minds with silence that is not empty, but full of gentle keeping. May it cradle each small concern you handed over and tend it with patience. May sleep be deep enough to restore what is thin. May mercy surround every sorrow. May forgiveness come easily where it is needed. May it come as a relief that makes room for morning work. May tenderness enter the places that have been hard and begin the slow work of mending. May hope be ready in the morning, not the loud promise of certainty, but the quiet expectation that one small step will be possible. May that step be enough to begin a sequence of better days. May the light that sits in the pages of the book keep a gentle watch over your heart. When the night grows long, call back the images you have learned tonight, the lamp, the bench, the river, the steady hands. Let them be anchors for the breath. Let them gather you like a net. I stay with the thought that peace is a presence more than a condition. It will not remove all storms. It will keep a hand on the shoulder while the steps are taken. Let that hand be real for you tonight. Let that presence be the thing that comforts sleep. Take one last slow breath with me. Inhale. Hold for a soft beat. Exhale and let the shoulders fall. Release the day into the quiet. Allow the eyes to close when they wish. Trust the small practices to continue their work while the body rests. If waking comes in the night, return to the breath. If fear returns, name one small thing and place it in the imagined hands beside you. Keep the token in your pocket of memory. Use it as a tool. You do not walk alone. I will leave now. Lamp still on. Bible closed. I will be near in the way. A friend is near, quiet and ready. Sleep without hurry. Rise with hope when the morning calls. The blessing lingers like a warm cloth on the chest. Go now into this night. Let peace be your company. Let mercy fold around you. Let hope meet the morning. Rest in that blessing. Amen.